All right, as always, give our honor, glory, majesty to the blessed one, the blessed name, Yahweh, who do so by his only begotten son, Yahweh Shah, who we call Jesus Christ. Um, Thankful that we can be back again, studying the word. You know what I mean? It's a privilege, it really is a privilege. I think it's a privilege that we don't really take a lot of advantage of. We like a spoiled generation, you know. Once upon a time, people would like go back way back in the past. They would have killed to be able to have a Bible in their house, a scroll in their house. So it's a blessing, It's a blessing that we get to read God's word and have him to speak to us and reveal his secrets um, all the way from heaven. But yeah, so back again. No quiz today. I ain't even do y'all like that today. I ain't give y'all no quiz, no pop quiz, no nothing like that. Hopefully y'all did read. I did mention last week. I think it was Daniel 7, but it was just kind of in passing and on the fly. So if you didn't read it, it's all good. We might open it up, we might not. Um, just depends on how far we can get. So a lot of this, like I said in the message, if you read the message on Facebook, it's like, man, this stuff can get complicated. And I know some of you probably feel a little lost. I wish you would ask questions. If I'm saying something, man, please. That's the way church is supposed to be done. You're supposed to stop the speaker and have them to clarify so that everybody can get it. That's the blueprint is found in Corinthians. Somebody speaking, another person has something to say. Let the one who's speaking, let them talk. Let the person say what they have to say. When they're done, let the other person who was speaking already, let them continue from that point. So if you got questions, like ask, because I could say something and either be leaving something out, or I could even be having something in error, like something wrong that needs to be corrected. So uh if you know what I'm saying, like hear me say something and you need clarity or you don't understand, like say something, you know, so that way you can, be on the same page as everybody else. Um, Real quick, anything anybody want to add, say, ask, anything you was reading that y'all like to share, or something you was reading that you would like to ask or put on the table as a just a quick little discussion, or anything. Anybody, anyone?
I had a quick question because me and
Yeah,
India was
go
thinking
ahead.
about it, and I forgot. So, of course, we ain't doing Thanksgiving. We don't do that. We
Uh,
don't do that no more. But she was like,
Thanksgiving.
yeah. She was like, well, can I pick up a plate the next day? Some leftovers? I was like, oh no. like, like, I was like, I don't know. I'll be here real.
All
I
right,
don't think
so
so.
yeah, I wouldn't. Um, this is this is why I wouldn't. Let me show y'all why. I uh,
And that's what I was thinking too. I was just be sure. Like,
yeah. No, I get you. You know what I'm saying? Because it would seem like, oh, well, what's the big deal, right? Like, what would be the big deal? What's the problem with, okay, I didn't go to the feast, but the food. I mean, shoot, why not? So, um, let's go to Acts right quick. Acts 15. So Acts 15. Oh, you know what? It would help if I share my screen. Huh? Let's go Acts. All right, share. All right, Acts 15. All right, so this that was like it wasn't that exact question, but it was kind of the same, right? It was this kind of discussion that they was trying to say, okay, well, what do we tell? like, because you had the Jews, right? The Jews were in Jerusalem. They would stand to the customs, and would stand to the scriptures, stand with the Torah, right? So then Paul comes and he has this new ministry where he's going back, reaching back, and getting those Israelites who had been away from the covenant that they believed just it just was no way for them to come back. And so what Paul was doing was something they never seen before. They never, they had never seen. Once you were cut off, once God cut you off, you was cut off. You know, there was no way of coming back. So then Paul comes through, and that's why his ministry was so controversial, because he's doing something that they had never seen or known God to do, which was to reach back, and those Israelites that he cut off, that they could come back to the covenant. They could be forgiven because they had committed sins that you couldn't be forgiven for. So through Christ, that's Paul's whole ministry is through Christ, we can be justified for things that we normally couldn't be justified of. That's in Acts 13. So then they was like, well, when they come back, what do we do? What do we tell them? What do we tell them to do? So James, he's the brother of Christ. And this is what he says. He says, this is Acts 15:18 says, known unto God are all the works from the beginning of the world. Wherefore my sentence is, this is his judgment on what to do. He says, that we trouble them not, right? Says, which from among the Gentiles are turned to God. Says, but that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols, right? So don't go anywhere and involve yourself where there's a worship of idols, where people are worshiping idols. Don't be in the midst of that. Abstain from fornication, right? Keep yourself pure, keep yourself clean. Fornication is forbidden sex acts under the law, and from things strangled, and from blood, right? So he deals with all this is dealing with idolatry. So one of the things that was a problem with the idolatry was food sacrificed to idols. That's where you get this thing strangles, from blood, pollutions of idols, fornication. All of this is idolatry. And this is just dealing with the entire, like the over encompassing of the whole ritual, the rituals of idolatry, which was eating food sacrificed to idols. That's why Paul wrote, when he writes and he's talking about that if somebody bids you to come and eat, don't ask them where it come from. It's like, don't ask them where it come from. Because if you ask them where it come from, then if they tell you, oh yeah, this came from the temple, right? Then now you're going to be troubled in your spirit, and then you're going to offend the person whose house you went over, because you go over in that ancient time, it was important that you show, respect to a person who's being hospitable to you. So if you put food in front of you, now, of course, they would know the differences of foods, right? They would know, if something was pork, or it's just like now, if something is pork, something is beef, if you train yourself. We just normally don't train ourselves because we just, cook and eat, cook and eat, cook and eat. So food pretty much looks the same. We don't know if it's beef. We don't know if it's pork. We don't know if it's lamb. We don't, fish. We know fish because of the, different kind of flesh. But for the most part, if you had trained eyes, like, you could tell what pork is from beef. I know I can. I could tell when something is pork and something is beef. I just can. I think because I be so paranoid not to eat it, right? But so when he said, when you go to someone's house, don't ask them where it comes from, because what happened is, you had Gentiles, when they was evangelizing the Gentiles, what would they do? They would go to the house, just same way would you see the 70 disciples that Christ had set apart and sent them out. And he said, don't take for yourself a money purse, don't take a bag, don't take nothing. Stay at whoever house, whoever allows you to stay at their house, stay at their house, right? That's where you get the whole, if they don't hear your message, don't allow you to stay, then knock the dust off your feet as a testimony against them. That's where they come from. But what they would do is they would go in this person's house. And when you go to these people's houses, they're going to prepare food for you. Now, in this context, or in where they was at, like in Judea, they didn't, these Jews are not eating pork, right? They're eating things that are lawful. I mean, it was just their traditions. It was just how they ate was a tradition. You didn't have to tell them not to eat pork. They just didn't eat pork. You know what I'm saying? They would sell it, or they would use them to clean, as garbage disposals. They would use them to clean up the land and things like that. That's why you saw the swine, those men that had the swine that Christ put the legions of demons in. That's why they had the swine, to clean up things and have them just sitting around ready to eat them. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't eat that. So when you go to that house, you know, you need to ask where you get this from, because a lot of those Gentiles that would go into these temples and these marketplaces, where what happens at the temple, they would have food, they would do their rituals, they would do their sexual acts, they would do all this, and then they would eat the meal. And then in eating the meal, whatever was left over, they would take it, and then they would take it to the marketplaces, and it was, you know, sell it whole, like wholesale, to the people at the market. And then when you go to the market, you're buying food that possibly came from the idol temples, right? So then when you go to somebody's house, if somebody was a pagan, or somebody was a pagan Israelite, when they put the food in front of you, it was a good and strong possibility that this food came out of the temples, right? So Paul's advice was that when you do this, you go to somebody's house, don't ask them where the food came from, because if you, you know, ask them, you know, as soon as the food hit the table, and you look, hey, where you get this food from? And they're like, oh yeah, from, you know, Temple of Diana. You know, this ain't no, you know, went to the temple today. And, you know, because just like when you talk to people now, right? They know you're Israelite, but they'll talk about what they're doing for Christmas and what they're doing for their birthday. They'll know you don't celebrate Christmas. They'll still talk about Christmas. They'll still talk about where they go, what vacation they're gonna do for these certain holidays. And they'll talk about Thanksgiving. They'll talk about these things because it's their custom, and they don't see a problem with it. The thing is, because your eyes are open, you see a problem with it. So when it comes to the idea of eating food sacrificed to idols, eating food sacrificed to idols meant when you have a meal in dedication to an idol, or to a false god, or to a god, right? So when you're dealing with going to somebody's house, eating food that was, you know, possibly been sacrificed to idols, you don't want to do that knowing, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to go and, you know, it's been sacrificed to idols, or you know this is a meal. And when you say sacrifice to idols, now the idea was, what they would do is, before they would cook the food, they would, you know, slaughter, is either they would slaughter the animal, and part of the animal is being sacrificed, or it's a meal that they pray over, and they're praying to, sort of like the idea of going to like like uh uh to a place where, you know, they do halal. And halal is where uh a person who is a Muslim does this Muslim prayer or Islamic prayer over their food, where they're thanking Allah for their success, or hoping that Allah would bring them success. So they would pray over the food that they're about to prepare, or that they're about to sell to people, hoping that Allah will bring them success. Well, that would be considered food sacrificed to idols. So if you eat a meal of food that you know was a part of a meal that was a part of some type of pagan ritual or pagan customs, then as a believer and a follower of Christ, you don't want to eat that, because that's why Paul said that you can't eat from the same table of, I mean, you can't eat from two separate tables. You can't eat from the table of Christ and from the table of devils. That's what he meant by that. What he was saying was, hey, it makes no sense that you're gonna eat Passover food that's dedicated to Passover, and you praying over your food just on a daily to your God, to the God of Israel, and then at the same time go knowing that people are, you know, eating food that's been dedicated to the service of an idol, or to the service of another God, and you just eat that food too. Like, you can't do both of those, right? You don't do both of those. That's part of the thing that, you know, like, as your faith, like, yeah, no, you should abstain from that. That's part of the sacrifice that you're making. You know what I'm saying? Part of this, your faithfulness to your God, is that, you know, I'm being faithful to him to the point where I'm not even going to eat food that has been dedicated to uh the what's the word? I hate, I don't want to use sacrifices. Not really. We're not sacrificing anymore, but dedicated food that's dedicated to the occasion of another deity. And when you're dealing with Thanksgiving, you know, you definitely, you know, that's cornucopia. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're definitely eating food, uh a meal. A Thanksgiving meal is a meal that's dedicated to the gods of the people who, you know, were doing that at the time. And even though, you know, we say, oh, it's just for family now, this, that, and the third, but the custom and the ritual is the same. You still have the same foods, right? See, same thing. You got the turkey, you got the ham. For us, now our people, it's the dressing. Even if you cook dressing on, I don't know, March 9th, you're like, dang, you cooking Thanksgiving food, right? But even though dressing is not it's not Thanksgiving food, it's just when you cook it for that time, sort of like if you cook for Christmas, somebody cook something for Christmas. If that's cooking something for Christmas, well, that's something we shouldn't be partaking in. So even after Christmas or after Thanksgiving, we get a plate, we're still eating that meal that was dedicated to that idol. You know what I'm saying? We're basically going into the marketplace, buying the food that's been dedicated at the temples. It's the same concepts. You know what I'm saying? So, I think for me, at the end of the day, let your you got to serve your own convictions. You know what I'm saying? Uh to me, I look at that and I go, okay, that's how I believe that should be interpreted. You know what I'm saying? That we should look at that and we abstain from those things for the simple fact. Now, what we do now is all in like these things that we do, just part of what we're doing now is trying to learn what are our customs, what is our culture. You know what I'm saying? And once you learn what your customs and what your culture is, then everything that's not a part of that custom or part of that culture, some things, yeah, it's okay. Like it's okay to go to the movies, right? It's okay to go to the skate rink. It's okay to go to the park. It's like what he told Adam and Eve of these trees, some of these trees, yeah, it's okay for you to eat, ingest some of this fruit or ingest some of these ways and take some of these things and these cultural things for yourself, but of some things you should just stay far away from. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things, especially now, at least for me, I look and be like, okay, oh, so Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July. Well, not so much 4th of July, but yeah, 4th of July too, because that's coast. I don't know, New Year's, Valentine, um, Easter. These are holidays or feast days that were birthed out of pagan rites and rituals and ceremonies. So, as a believer and a follower of Christ, you know what I'm saying, as a Gentile coming back to the faith, it's like, yeah, I think it's best for the conscience sake just to abstain from that and for your own witness. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go and you get a plate from somebody that eats Thanksgiving and the next day, and then you try to evangelize, or let's say at some point you try to rebuke them on something, they're not going to respect that rebuke because, like, bro, I mean, like you ate Thanksgiving too. You'd be like, and they'll act like, no, it ain't no big deal. Thanksgiving passed until you make somebody mad. They're like, no, I mean, shoot, you're still Thanksgiving food though. You still came over here and got a plate the day after, you know. So for the sake of your witness, for the sake of your conscience, for the sake of your faith, I say abstain. You know what I'm saying? If that and that's coming from my understanding and my conviction. You know what I'm saying? How I understand it from the scriptures, or how I understand how it would reflect in the scriptures. So now, if you feel a different way or got a different opinion about it, I'm more than open to hear. You know what I'm saying? So
No, I'm good. When we said we went to the Acts, I was like, oh yeah, that's what's up.
yeah, already. But yeah, that's coming up, man. They got Thanksgiving coming up. We got feast day coming up too. We got feast of dedication, right? We got Hanukkah. That's what Hanukkah is. Feast of dedication. That's literally what you saw Christ doing when he went to the temple for the dedication. For the feast of dedication. That's Hanukkah. So Hanukkah begins on the calendar is December 26th and it runs through the 2nd. So from the 26th to the 2nd is Hanukkah. So that's something, y'all could look into. We'll talk about that next month. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even think to say anything or do anything about Thanksgiving. I think at this point we all are pretty much familiar with, the idea that that's probably something we should be doing, at this point. So anything else? Anybody else? Anybody got anything to say? But that's good though. I'm glad that's a good question, India and T. That's a real good question. I think that's edifying for even everybody else who hearing it, because I'm sure somebody was probably already like thinking that same thing. Like, yeah, I just go get me something the next day from over mama crib, you know. and which I understand. I understand the temptation, man. Trust me. So, but anything else? Anybody else want to edify us with a question or a comment or something you learned or something you looked at? No, no. I bet. Cool. All right. So we're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. Back in we'll start with where we was at. We'll start back in Romans and that's what a lot of this because I felt like last week there was a lot of information that came out and a lot of jumping around, which that's what I do, but I'm just gonna go over. We're gonna start back there and just kind of build on top of what we already did. So we're back in Romans 9. We'll go Romans 9, 19. And we'll read through to 21. It says, you would say to me then, why does he yet find fault? For who has resisted his will? Nay, but oh man, who are you that replies against God? Shall the thing formed say to him who formed it, why have you made me like this? Has not the potter over the has not the potter power? Does the potter not have power over the clay, right? Of the same lump, and this is his power. Does he not have the power of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? Right. And that's what we're in, right? So the question at this point, okay, who is the vessel of honor? Who is the vessel of dishonor? Most of the time, because even by the answers from the quiz last week, I could tell that the thing that's probably not understood is when he's talking about this, he's not speaking in the sense of the entire world. He's dealing with a linear logic, right? He introduces us to a concept. He first goes, who are the children of God? Right. And then he says, oh, they're the children of Abraham, but not all of the children of Abraham, right? Says because other children of Abraham, that other children that Abraham had. Abraham had other children, but God didn't make a promise to them. He made a promise to one of Abraham's sons out of the 8 sons that Abraham had, and that son was Isaac. So Isaac, because the question would be, okay, well, who is the lump, right? Like, or what is the lump then, right? So we go up here. So it says, and not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac. So they understood culturally Rebekah had 2 sons, right? 2 sons, and these 2 sons came out pretty much at the same time or born on the same day, but they were so they were conceived by one. That's the one lump. The lump that he made these vessels of honor, vessels of dishonor from is Isaac. That's his whole point. That's why he uses right here, you see him where he deals with Pharaoh, but he only deals with Pharaoh as a point. The point that he uses for Pharaoh is to show that God can have mercy on whomever he want to have mercy on. He said, just like with Pharaoh, he raised up Pharaoh just to destroy him, just to crush him, right? But he is not saying he's using him. Now, Pharaoh would be considered a vessel of dishonor, but that's not Paul's point. Paul's point is not to include him into this conversation that he's having about the sons of Abraham, right? Because Pharaoh is a Hamite, right? He's African. He's not Israelite. He's not Shemitic. He's Hamite. He's Hamitic, right? So he just uses Pharaoh because this is one of the one of the myths, right? And by myth just means story. It's just one of the stories that they were familiar with. They understood they became a nation after they were slaves under Pharaoh, and that the Most High sent Moses in and did miracles in their sight to prove himself to be God. And through that, because the way he did it was by raising that Pharaoh up. So when he raised that Pharaoh up, he raised him up to power just so, like I said, that I could show my power in you, and that his name could be declared throughout all the earth. Therefore, he has mercy on whom he would have mercy, and whom he hardens, he will harden, right? That was just his point at that point. At that point, he's done with Pharaoh. Then he goes into, what will you say? He says, well, you would say unto me, why does yet he find fault? Why did he say, why does he find fault then? Because he just got through telling us up here that he will have mercy on whomever he will have mercy on. At the end of the day, he's saying, I'm in control of it all. I will have mercy, meaning I will give grace, or I will give power to do the right things to some, and I will harden some to cause them to do the wrong thing. So then he said, well, and then he uses Pharaoh as an example, and he said, well, you were saying to me, why does he find fault then if he would do that? Right? So the two vessels that he's talking about here is Jacob and Esau. That's why he said, for the children, this is in verse 11, for the children being not yet born, neither having done anything evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand not of works, but of him that called. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. All this is cultural talk. All of this is cultural talk. We just don't, let's not, we don't want to read the Bible as a novel. Don't read it like a novel. It's a history book. It's somebody's culture. So when he's talking to them culturally, right? Culturally, well, he said, and it is said unto her, the elder will serve the younger. That's counterculture. That's countercultural because the eldest is, as far as the economy of Israelites, they understood just Shemitic people in general. Not even, I wouldn't even say Shemitic people, just this Near Eastern Mediterranean people. All of surrounding nations thought on the same way. If a man has a son, his firstborn son is his heir. It's as simple as that. That's why when you read a lot of stories about kings and empires and things like that, you see these wars. The younger brother, did something to get the older brother killed so that he can have the throne. Because the younger brother will always be a prince as long as his older brother is alive. The older brother is a prince until his father dies. When his father dies, the older brother becomes the king. The younger brother remains prince his whole life. You see what I'm saying? Unless his brother dies. That's why you see stories about men who would kill their brothers, right? Exactly, like the Lion King, right? Just like the Lion King. It's the same concept. And that's Lion King is an African concept. See what I'm saying? But that's all still Mediterranean, Near Eastern, even over there, right? That's just what southwest of the Mediterranean, or whatnot. So yeah, it's the same concept, right? So they would hear that and it would be, it would be strange. So he's talking about, he says, as it is written. And there you go. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. This right here is literally the crux of the entire Bible. It's the crux. It's the story of two brothers who were born at the same time. One losing his birthright, losing his right to rulership, but yet still given a time to rule. But yet there will be an everlasting kingdom for the younger brother who has been given rulership over his older brother, and a curse that came upon the older brother in the fact that he would have to serve his younger brother. That's a curse. You know what I'm saying? That's how they would view that. But Paul's argument is, nah, the Lord did that simply because that's what he wanted to do. That's how he made them. He made out of this same lump, Isaac, he made two separate vessels, a vessel of honor, a vessel of dishonor. If we go back and you read the narrative, when the Most High came to Rebecca and she prayed and said, well, what's going on? Like what's why they fighting in my womb? And he was like, two manner of people and two nations are in your womb. Right, two nations, two manner of people, meaning it's going to be as if they never even they would never kin. That's how I'm going to treat them. That's how I'm going to pin them against each other. And God did that. He pinned them against each other. The way that he did it, that's exactly what he meant to do, obviously, because he did it that way, right? He created that jealousy, that envy, that hatred, that anger. He created that in Esau. That's the spirit that he gave him for the cause of how he would use Esau, right? And the way that he would use Esau is that Esau was to be a sword on the earth. That's what Esau is. The Israelites is not the only nation that Esau subjugated, right? They're not the only name. Matter of fact, when you look at Esau, let's real quick. We'll get to this. We ain't got to this yet, but we'll get to this. This is Romans 13:1. It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, right? So this is Paul writing to the Israelites in their, writing to the Israelites of how they should conduct themselves. As you see this, be subject to the government, as how they should subject themselves to the government. So he goes, let every soul be subject to the higher powers. So the higher powers are not spirits. The higher powers is the government. For there is no power but of God, right? So the government, his point is, in Rome, if he's writing to these believers or these Jews that are in Rome, you're in Rome, that government, God is the power behind that power. He's the power behind that. Look, the powers that be are ordained of God. God is the one who raised him up. We read last week. Somebody get that again for me. Daniel 2:20. We read that last week. I think it's Daniel 2:20 and 21, 20 and 22, I believe. 20 to 22, 20 to 21. One of them. But somebody grab that right quick for me. So he goes to verse 2. He says, "Whosoever therefore resists the power, resists the ordinance of God." So he's saying, whoever resists, if you're over there in that land, and if you're in their land, you need to subject yourself to that government, because that government is set up by God. He says, and whoever resists that government in that land that they're in, because they have the right to make their laws, they have the right to have their rules, they have the right to have their regulation. That's why it makes no sense for us to vote. The reason it makes no sense for us to vote is for the simple fact: one, it's not our power structure; two, they're not going to do anything to help you. You're just a pawn for their power, their political gain. And three, it's just not meant for you. Your savior is Christ. Your savior is not some man that sits over in a White House and make. Now, people are like, well, I'll vote because, for the taxes. Man, if we were a nation that we were supposed to be, and we were a people that we were supposed to be, and we took care of our own, and we did carried on the idea that they had, like with Black Wall Street, then we wouldn't even be worried about no taxes, because nobody would lack, just like what they had in the book of Acts, in the beginning of the church in the first century or whatnot. When what they would do is, if somebody was poor that didn't have enough, people that were privileged, they would sell what they had, and then they would take that money and give it to the apostles. The apostle would disperse that money evenly amongst the church, amongst the members of the church, right? Because it's in the scriptures, in the law, that you're supposed to take care of your people, right? But what happens is that because we, want things for ourselves, and we want, riches for ourselves, and want to enrich ourselves, even if it means leaving our people behind, then we'll jump into politics and go vote so that our pockets could be fatter, even though we know that this government is just going to continue to oppress the poor. You see what I'm saying? We don't care about any of that. You know what I'm saying? And which we got to renew our minds from that, right? So he says, whosoever resists the power resists the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Damnation from who? From this government. For the rulers are not a terror of good works. They're not supposed to be, right? He says, but to the evildoers, those who bring calamity, those who go against the system, those who go against the plans, right? Says, will you then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and you shall have praise for the same. For he is a minister of God to you for good. What does that mean? A minister, even though you look and be like, man, I don't know, how is he a minister to God for me, for my good? Well, just like your daddy when you walk in the room with that belt, you know what I'm saying? And you got out of line, and you walk in the room with that belt, your mama come in there with that switch or that stick or that spoon or ruler or whatever it was, right? That rod in the hand of the person who's using it, that rod is for your good, right? What it says, if you beat your son, you will not kill him, but you will save his soul from hell. Another proverb that says the rod is for the back of fools, right? In the book of Hebrews, I think chapter 8, he tells us that the discipline of God is for our good, right? Don't despise the chastening of God, for God chastens those whom he loves, like a father who chastens a son he delights in. All right. So the government and the oppression of the government is there for our good. What do you mean they're for our good? Because their customs and codes and code of laws and customs of living is not for us. We have our own. So then when we go and want to be like the other nations and we copy these customs, just like a Thanksgiving, right? When we do those things, all it does is perpetuate a curse on us from God. So then what the Lord has done is he's put us because of the sins of our people, sins of our nation, he sent us to serve our enemies because we wouldn't serve him. You see what I'm saying? So that nation, that enemy nation, is a rod in the hand of God. It's ordained by God, right? But there's a particular nation that the Most High has set up to be a sword in the earth, that he uses this nation to punish all nations in the world for their wickedness. And then in the end, he's going to deal with that nation, right? Because at the end of the day, Esau is still a son of Abraham, still a son of Isaac. He's still Shemitic. See what I'm saying? So the Most High deals with the Semitic people. He doesn't deal with them. He doesn't make the covenant that he has with the Israelites, but he still deals with them. He still uses them for his purpose. And one of his purposes in the earth is to create not just order, but also disorder. He also brings disorder in the earth. You know what I'm saying? But he disciplines, though, he just like Pharaoh, where he raised Pharaoh up, hardened his heart, made him evil just to crush him. Same way with the other nations, where he's put the other nations in the earth, and these other nations in the earth are given certain things, certain cultures and things to do and a way to be. And then the Most High on the back of that, because he hardens them, he's going to bring punishment or bring judgment on those nations, and he uses nations to judge other nations, just like he used people to judge people, he used people to lead people, used people to minister to people. That's just the way the Lord does things. So Esau would be the sword in the hand of the Lord, right? For he is a minister to God, to you for good. But if you do that which is evil, be afraid, for he bears not the sword in vain. See, you don't bear the sword in vain. Like Esau ain't got all them missiles and rockets and guns and shields and tanks and SWAT teams. That's not for nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's not, and it's in the spirit. He want to use it. He itching to use it. He itch, that phrase we say, I wish a nigga would. That he wish a nigga would. He wish he would. You see what I'm saying? Says, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath. And when you read the Bible, the key to the Bible is the Bible is consistent, right? So when you see certain phrases that are attributed to certain situations and it's dealing with with nations, if you follow that, you will see that, oh, wait a minute, this is the same nation, maybe not the same exact people, right? But as far as the spirit of that nation, that's how the Most High deals. He deals it with spirits. So with nations, he puts spirits on nations. He put just like people, like, you have a spirit in you that's similar to the spirit of your neighbor. You got spirits of, a spirit that's in you that is just, you do some of the same things or think some of the same ways as people you never even met, because those are your people. You come from the same stock, right? The same lump, right? The same lump of clay, right? So he says this government is a revenger to execute wrath upon him that does evil. Wherefore you must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause, pay tribute also. Tribute, that shows right there that's about subjugation. Remember Christ, when they went to Christ and said, oh, should we pay taxes to Caesar? And Christ said, here, give me a coin. Whose face is on here? Oh, that's Caesar. Okay, pay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Pay to God what belongs to God. That's what a tribute is. A tributary. If you're a tributary, that means you pay taxes to a people who are not even your, who have subjugated you, conquered you. That's what a tributary is. So a tributary pays tribute, right? So you pay, he said, for this cause, pay ye tribute also, pay your taxes. That's what he said. For they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues. Tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom is due. So as far as their customs, recognize their customs. If it ain't yours, if it's going to cause you to break the laws of the Most High, get away from it. It ain't got nothing to do with you. That's not yours. That's their custom. Let them have it. It's just like when you're dealing with presidents, governors, mayors, things like that. If it's not your people, if your people not in the race, or even if it is your people, because even if your people get in the seat, there's just so much that your people can do, and they're never there to serve you. They're there to serve the machine. They're there to do the bidding of the system, right? So it's best to just stay away from certain customs, right? And then your custom, hey, respect your custom. That's basically what he's saying. Just respect the customs. Respect he said, tribute to whom tribute is due, pay taxes to whom you owe the taxes to, respect the customs, give fear or reverence to those who deserve the fear, and those who are you're supposed to have this reverence to, and honor those who you're supposed to honor. Right? Honor who you're supposed to honor, fear who you're supposed to fear, do the custom that you're supposed to do, and pay taxes when you're supposed to pay your taxes. That's pretty much what Paul was saying. But when you look at this, it says that this government, and he's obviously talking about Rome. He said this government, bro, that's their power is backed by God's power. Yeah, oh yeah, they're evil, they wicked. Yeah, they are. But guess who raised them up? Somebody get that. Where that Daniel 2 at? Did anybody get that? Daniel 2 and 21? or 2:20. I forget exactly where it's at. I think it's 2:20 though. 2:20 to 22, I believe. Anybody get that? No? I'll grab it
Yeah.
right quick. Yeah. Okay, get that for me.
Sorry for the effort.
No, you good.
All right, Daniel 20. Just be at that. Yeah. Verse 20. Daniel 2, verse 20. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the things, what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him.
So he knows what's in the darkness, meaning obscurity, things that's unknowable. Like we say, oh, you can't know the future. Well, God does. That's his point. He knows things that are in the darkness and things that and light dwells with him. So knowledge, information, it dwells with him. That's what light does, right? Light exposes what's in the dark. You go in the dark room, you don't know what's in here, you don't know how it look. You cut on the lights, now you can see what's going on. That's what he's saying. For the Most High, no, he knows the things that are unknowable, and he brings those things to light. He brings light to those things. All knowledge, wisdom, understanding belongs to him. And because of that, what he knows who to set up in power. He knows what kings to raise up. He knows what kings to put in place. Just like what presidents, he knows what presidents need to happen. And even when you look back on it, like look at the last couple of decades, last few decades, we've had what? Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. Like look at how the times fluctuated, and you went through all these different kind of times, and look what it did to your life or for your life, right? What certain events that how it affected your life, certain events that caused you to be on the path that you own now. Like your own, a lot of us are here today, right now, because of certain things that happened in our lives that guided us to this point. Just a and it's so, and this is just not a, this is just, we're just a small group of people, but this is almost every, if not for everybody in the world has been affected. Everybody in the world, or at least I just say United States, everybody that lives in the United States has been affected by the last 3 decades of presidents that we've had to come through. You know what I'm saying? Those rulers, and even that has shaped has taken shape on the world stage, where if you are keen and you have a good spiritual eye and you understand if the plans of God, because we can know some of the plans of God, he makes those things known to us. If you know some prophecies and you know some of these things, you can look at the world and you can see, wow, this is crazy how all these years, these things that have happened has driven us to this point right here. Like just like the other day when Russia used, for the first time in history, use a intercontinental ballistic missile, which it wasn't intercontinental. It was, he said it was medium range, but that's the missile that they use to put the nuclear warheads on that tested it on Ukraine. So even all of this talk about nuclear wars and all, if you know anything about prophecy, you will see how these things are actually shaping up and taking place. Like they are literally taking place. You know what I'm saying? The Bible is an incredible book, man. But before I go on attention with that, we're gonna pull it back down, pull it back. All right. But yeah, so as you can see, you know what I'm saying? This vessel of honor, vessel of dishonor, which I'm telling you, I'm just taking it off. That's Esau, right? That's the Edomites, and the kingdom of the Edomites. That's their kingdom. They are the sword of the Lord on the earth. And then the Israelites, when Christ come back, they're called a battle axe in his hand. So the sword versus the battle axe. You see what I'm saying? The sword is more finesse, right? In warfare, it's finesse. It's more, quick. You have to be stronger to wield a battle axe. Battle axe is brutal. That's for the savages. You see what I'm saying? Well, if you got a sword going up against a battle axe, man, you might well go on, get on your horse and go on back to the crib, bro. You don't want the smoke. Leave him alone. Like, man, that boy jumped off the horse with a battle axe. I'm gonna go on. He got it. Yeah, you good, my boy. Yeah, go ahead. But that's who the Israelites are. The Israelites are the battle axe in the hand of the Lord. That's our time will come when Christ comes back. That's when he brings, his kingdom, and then he's gonna fight against the other nations with his brothers on the earth. That's where we get the new bodies, and then we go forth and we fight with him. That's another story for another day. But either way, Esau, that's the sword in the hand of the Lord. Let's look at Genesis right quick. Genesis 27, and we'll go down to, and let's look at what his heritage is, or just a reminder. All right. 27:39. And Isaac, this is Genesis 27:39. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, Behold, your dwelling shall, and we're gonna just correct it in real time. Your dwelling shall be away from the fatness of the earth, and away from the dew of heaven, and away from the dew of heaven from above. If you go to the NIV or the ESV, you'll see where they correct it from the King James. What the King James, for whatever reason, they translated it like this, but the ESV gets it right. If you go to the Hebrew and break it down, it says away from the fatness and away from the dew, right? Because the one who was his dwelling shall be to the fatness was the promise that he gave to Jacob. And of the dew of heaven, he gave that to Jacob, right? And that's what Esau was crying over, because that's what he sold. That's what he got taken away from him, and he was crying over that. So Isaac gives him this little anti-blessing, if you will, and says, well, your dwelling shall be away from the fatness of the earth, meaning you're going to dwell in dry places. You're going to dwell in deserted places. You're going to dwell in desert lands. And Esau was a cave dweller. He dwelled in the clefts of the rocks. If you look at a place called Petra, this is in Idumea, right? This is in the land of Esau. This is Esau's dwelling place where he dwelt. This is what he built for himself. This is an ancient ruin, the ancient ruin of Petra. All right. So we'll look at it on the map at some point. But this is what they were. They were rock dwellers. So when you get the idea of cavemen, yeah, that was Esau. Esau is the original caveman. The Israelites did not live in caves. They didn't live in the rocks, in the walls, right? They built houses. They were stonemasons, right? Same way with them. They had the skill to dig in rock, but they made their homes out of the rocks, versus the Israelites. Israelites didn't make their homes out of the rocks, right? They didn't make they built their homes on top of mountains, not in the mountains. Esau, he built his homes in the mountains. This is I think is a shrine of some kind, or some kind of interest point or whatnot in Petra, which is in Jordan, in the south of Judea, if you will. So, but yeah, so this is what his dwelling, what he told him his dwellings would be, right? Even though they say the Nabatean, but the reason they call it Nabatean is because Nabatean had the Nabatean had conquered the Edomites, right? That's who pushed them out of their lands, Idumea, right? So, and subjugated them. The Nabateans did. So yeah, so this is so he tells him that would be his dwelling, right? And then he says, verse 40, the point, and he says, and by the sword you shall live. Meaning when it comes to that sword, ain't nobody gonna be able to touch you, boy. Like, you're gonna be out here getting it, and you're gonna be skillful with the sword. It says, but you shall serve your brother, and it shall come to pass that when you have had dominion, right? And when you look at this dominion, this word dominion, the word is ruled, right? ROOD, to wander restlessly. That's in the spirit of conquering, right? Let me see. To ramble, to tramp about, right? To have dominion, to be Lord, to rule. All right. Look at this. To go to and fro. Surely that sounds familiar with some of you. You know what I'm saying? For you Bible thumpers. You know what I'm saying? If anybody know what I'm referencing when it says you will go to and fro? Who goes to and fro on the earth, up and down in it?
It was the devil.
The
Satan.
devil. Satan. And what did we learn? Did we learn anything last last week, which we're gonna get into today, right quick. Just cover that right quick. As we go, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. We'll go down here. We'll start here. 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day should not come except that there come a falling away first. Right? He says, don't be deceived. Do not be deceived. So somebody is going to go around deceiving, but don't be deceived. Right? It says, the day you waiting for, which is the return of Christ, is not going to come until there's be a falling away. People are going to fall away from what? Fall away from following God. Right? How do you follow God? You follow God through what? Through the customs, right? That's how you follow him. You follow God by keeping his commandments. Come on, y'all. By keeping his commandments, right? Because he's talking to his people. He's talking to the people of God. And as a reminder, what do they need to be reminded? What do we need to be? This is how you follow God. Deuteronomy 4 and 5, as an Israelite, as the Israelite nation, this is how we follow God. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me that you should do so in the land whether you go to possess it. It's not just the land not just in the land of Canaan, or wherever you go. It's the laws of God. It's just before they go into they're in the wilderness. They were supposed to keep this even in the wilderness, but he gave them laws about how to live amongst one another. That's what that was about. So regardless of where they go, the laws of God are supposed to go with them. It says, verse 6, keep therefore and do them. Why? Because this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. These are your customs and culture. Everybody else got their customs. Everybody else got their culture. What is yours in their sight? We know what theirs is in our sight. Theirs is Thanksgiving, Christmas, certain holidays, certain ways to move, certain ways to live, sleep around with each other, sleep around with other people's women, be faithless, don't be heavy-handed and ruthless to your people, create carnage, murder, kill, steal, destroy. That's their customs, right? So your customs to the nations, that's their custom in our sight. Well, in their sight, our custom is supposed to be these laws and statutes and commandments, because that is our wisdom, or how we move, how we live, how we survive, how we treat one another, how we live as a people, how we live as husband and wife, how we parent children, how we work, how we are to be on our jobs. Like, we're to use the laws of God, the commandments of God, for our guidance. It's a light unto our feet and a lamp unto our feet, a light unto our path, right? It says it's our wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. You see what I'm saying? So he's saying that the day is going to come because in his day, because he just told them what? Gathering together, by our gathering together unto him. So he's saying we're being regathered back to Christ, but before he comes back, people are going to fall away from it, because when they come back, just like we just read in Acts, they were being retaught their customs, retaught their culture. And he just gives them a small little couple things. Just do these right now. And then if we were to continue reading in Acts, you'd have saw what he said, for they have Moses preach to them in the synagogues where they go. So they're going to go to the synagogues and they're going to hear the laws go forth, and they're going to learn how to move and how to act, the wisdom and knowledge that is their understanding to the nations, which is the customs, the laws, the statutes, the judgments, and the commandments of the Most High. So he's saying as those of us who are coming back to that, there are going to be some that are going to fall away from that, right? They're going to fall away from that first, but when they fall away from this, what that's going to do is that's going to reveal the man of sin, because this man of sin is going to play a big part and have a hand in those who are falling away, those Israelites who are falling away. Remember, vessels of honor, vessels of dishonor. So these vessels of honor are going to fall away because of the hand of the vessel of dishonor, the man of sin. That's what's going to reveal and show us who he is. This is all about customs. This is all about culture. That's what salvation is about. Salvation is about you having a kingdom, you going into the kingdom on the earth, the kingdom of Christ, and living out, establishing these customs and culture that God has given to his people to live on the earth. And they're supposed to go and teach it to everybody else when Christ gets here. They're going to force everybody, just the same way you were forced to keep certain customs and cultures. They're going to be forced to keep our customs and our culture. They're going to be forced to do that. See what I'm saying? And there's going to be same way we just read about the government. They're going to have to subject themselves to Christ's government, right? And he ain't gonna bear the sword in vain. He says he gonna rule the world, rule the nations with a rod of iron. He gonna be a stern man. He don't play that. See what I'm saying? Ain't gonna be no, oh, I made a mistake. Whatever, boy. Beep. Gonna be binking mugs right across the skull, right? And then the son of perdition, which we looked at it before. The son of perdition is destruction, right? But you got to remember the son of perdition. When you start dealing with the son of perdition is not a term uh 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 of one person, right? It's not this is not dealing with just one person. It's dealing with a whole nation of people. You see what I'm saying? Just like, because you see that language all throughout the Bible. Let's look at a place right quick. Jeremiah. Let's go to Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31 and 9. This is an example. Look, Jeremiah 31 and 9. All right, here, we'll start at 8. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coasts of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travails with child together. A great company shall return here. So this is where you get if you go down to 31, verse 31, this is where he talked about the new covenant. He's making a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Jacob and the house of Israel, right? The north and the south, the Israelites. He said he's going to gather them. He says, they shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of water in a straight way wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel. We know that, even though we know Israel is a whole nation, but this name, we know that's the man, Israel. He's talking about the nation, right? I'm a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. For us, we should know who Ephraim is. We should know who Israel is. Ephraim is not even a son of Israel. Ephraim is the grandson of Israel. That's who Ephraim is, one of the sons of Joseph. That Israel, Jacob, the man Jacob, or the man Israel, he adopted Ephraim. He adopted Ephraim and Manasseh, and he split the inheritance of Joseph between both of them. That's why when you read the list of the 12 tribes, it counts up as 13. And the reason it counts up as 13 because you have Ephraim and Manasseh, but that is not 13, it's 12 because Manasseh and Ephraim are half tribes, right? So when he says Ephraim is my firstborn, he's calling him, God said, Ephraim is my firstborn son. But this is not, obviously, he's not talking about the man Ephraim. He's talking about the tribe. So he uses this tribe in this, it's not an acronym, it's more of a anthropomorphic, right? Anthropomorphic language, which, let's see, anthropomorphic, right quick. Anthropomorphic. All right. Anthropomorphic, relating to or characterize, having human characteristics. How about that? There you go. Having human characteristics. So he takes this whole tribe and he calls him a son, one son, right? The whole tribe is one son in this particular passage. He does that throughout the whole Bible. It's throughout the Bible. It's like that in so many places. People are called. That's why when it says Esau or Edom, the lump. I mean, the clay or the vessel that came from the lump was the man Esau, right? But then by the time you get to what we're talking about now, when you get to Romans 9, he's talking about the whole nation. You see what I'm saying? Because he had descendants, same way with Jacob. Jacob, the man Jacob, is the vessel of honor, but then it's attributed to his descendants as a whole, like we're called the body of Christ, right? One body. That's what Paul said. We are one body, but many members. Same thing with this word, man of sin. One body, many members. One body, many members. The son of perdition. One body, many members. Right. So when you're looking at this and you're reading this is how you have to, to understand that. If that makes sense. That makes sense to y'all. What y'all thinking? Somebody holler at me.
Yes.
All right. So he calls him the man of sin, or this nation of sin. Sin, and the way how we understand those who are falling away is because he calls them the man of sin. What is the man? What is sin? Transgression of God's law. So this is a nation who will be known, their customs and culture will be known for transgressing God's laws. And they're going to pull in these Israelites who are going to fall away, and they're going to fall away to the customs and culture of this man of sin's way of life. Right? That's how he's going to be revealed. And he's called, and they're called the son of perdition, meaning of destruction. Remember what he said about the vessel of dishonor. The vessel of dishonor was to do what? Was fitted for what? Destruction. The vessel of honor fitted for destruction. Out of one lump, he can make a lump for dishonor. I mean for honor, to show his love or his grace and his compassion to, and another as a vessel that he pours his wrath on, a vessel fitted for destruction. I'm paraphrasing. Vessel fitted for destruction. So this son of perdition is offspring, because that's what a son is. A son is an offspring, right? So it's an offspring of the vessel of perdition, vessel of destruction. As you know, so you don't think I'm just making stuff up, right? Apolia, right? Destruction. There you go. Waste, damnable, to die, to perish. All right, destroying, utter destruction of vessels. Right. So this is saying when how this word is used in the sense that somebody goes out. If you dropped a glass and it's shattered on, or pottery, and they take this jar and they bing and they break it on the ground, you just took it into perdition. You made this thing simply to smash it on the ground just to break, as a demonstration. That's what perdition means. So, and when it says of vessels, that's what it means, how it's being used. You know what I'm saying? So this person, this is where you get, like I said before, this is where people get this idea of an antichrist. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to tell you right now, for anybody, Donald Trump is not the antichrist. All right. I hate to, if anybody believe that, I hate to crush your dreams and the hope that he was in the antichrist. That Donald Trump is not the antichrist. There's no such thing as a antichrist in the sense of one man who's going to be the sole governor of the entire world, and he's going to make everybody bow down to him, and everybody's going to believe in him. Everybody's going to follow him. Everybody's going to get his mark. Everybody's going to get his mark on their head. They're going to get his mark on his hand. And that's not what the Bible is talking about. This is not there's no such thing as a one man antichrist in the sense of that. Right? Antichrist is a spirit. Matter of fact, since we're here, right quick, let's just look at it. Show you because even when you deal with Antichrist is only in the Bible like a handful of times. Right? This is one time. Look. All right. 1 John 4:1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirit whether they are of God. How will we know if a spirit is of God? Because if the spirit is of God, then it will be encouraging you and exhorting you to keep God's commandments, to follow Christ, to believe in him, to love him, to keep his customs, to keep his culture, to keep his way. That's how you will test that spirit, to whether or not that spirit is of. If anybody is coming to you and causing you or encouraging you to break any of the laws of the Most High, that spirit is not of God. It's just not of God. Just simple as that. Look, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Everybody like to call people false prophets. Somebody's a false, you're a false prophet. They don't understand the principle of testing the spirit, because somebody will call me up. They'll say, I'm a false prophet. Man, he a false prophet. That's because you don't know the Bible. You don't read the Bible. I'm not a false prophet. I'm just a messenger coming and telling you, hey, this is what the Bible is saying, and I'm trying to actually push you to keep the commandments of God. That's not a false prophet. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't telling you no money coming. I don't know none of that stuff. You know, I ain't gonna tell you that God gonna give you a brand new car the next week, next month or something like that. That ain't my area expertise. You feel me? But he says, but many false prophets, why they call false prophets? He said, are gone out into the world, right? He says, hereby we know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. This don't mean this. Now, don't read this to think that everybody who says, yeah, Jesus Christ is come in the flesh. That's not what he's saying, because confession and denial is all he's dealing with. Spirit, the person's spirit, a person's spirit. Look at the spiritual demon Satan. When he came to Christ, he was quoting the Bible. He was quoting the scriptures, but he was quoting the scriptures and telling Christ to bow to him. Remember, he was quoting the scriptures, trying to convince Christ to break the scriptures. He went to Christ and said, "Oh, if you be the Son of God, turn this here stone into bread." When he was fasting, right? And then Christ had to come back with the word. And you go, "Oh, wait a minute. It is written, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God." Then he comes and he quotes the scriptures. Well, it says he took him to a high point, and then he told him to jump. He said, "Well, jump, for it's also written that he shall give his angels charge over you, and they shall keep you in all your ways, lest you dash your foot against a stone." He tried to use the scriptures to get Christ to do something that he shouldn't be doing, which was what? Christ replied, "For it is also written that you are not to test the Lord your God." You don't test God. You don't play with God. That's what he's saying. Nah, man, I know it is written, but man, I ain't for to play with God. You're trying to get me to play with God. That's a commandment too. It's to not play with him. It's to not test him. Don't tempt him. Don't do that. Right? So he tried to use the scripture to cause Christ to do something that he shouldn't be doing. Just like when you look at the story of the young prophet with the old prophet, in the story of the kings, when the young prophet, God give him an order and told him, "Hey, go and do this mission, and don't go to nobody's house, don't eat none of their food, don't sleep at their place, go do what you're supposed to do and bring your butt back to the crib." He went out, did that. He was on his way back, and then the king said, "Hey, man, won't you come to my house? Come on, eat, rest your feet." "Nah, God told me not to do that, man. I can't do that. I got to get back to the house." So he went on, and then this old prophet came out on his way, stopped him and said, "Hey, man, won't you come to my house and sleep in my house and rest your feet, rest your head, and get you something to eat?" "Nah, God told me not to do that." And then the old prophet said, "Well, I talked to God, and God told me to tell you, come on to the crib, get you something to eat, and go and get you some sleep, get you some rest for your journey tomorrow." The young man goes to the house, get him something to eat, lays down the night. When he lay down the night, God comes to him in a dream, said, "Tomorrow I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna send a lion out. He gonna eat you because you did not obey my word." And then that young man, he left, tried to go to the crib, and the Bible said that a lion came out, met him on the road, and killed him. Just killed him. Didn't even eat him. Just killed him. And then lay beside his body and his donkey. The lion didn't even eat the donkey. He just lay beside his body. And then it said when the message got back to the old man, the old prophet went and got him, brought him back, put him in the tomb, and then shook his head and said, he should have listened to God. That's the craziest story in the Bible to me. One of the craziest stories in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? False prophet. Right? A false prophet. Then he said, when I die, he told his servant, "When I die, bury me in this young man's tomb. Bury me with him." Because he knew he was wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? Gave him a false prophecy, got him killed. Right? That's how you know what the spirit of the Antichrist is. Somebody who will be telling you to do something. You know you're supposed to keep the Sabbath, and they're telling you to break the Sabbath. That's the spirit of the Antichrist. They're telling you, you know you're not supposed to eat pork. Okay, the scripture says not to eat pork, but they're telling you, "Oh, it's okay, just eat the pork." Spirit of the Antichrist. Oh, I mean, come on, it's just a day. Like it's your birthday. It's just a day. Now we've been going, we don't read this plenty of times. You can go back and read it yourself. Jeremiah 10, he said, "Do not practice the ways and the customs of the heathens." When you go and do the research of where birthdays come from, it come from the heathens. They did that to worship their God. And it was in that time they would worship a man as God. That was the whole point. But then they take it, commercialize it, make it something else, and you're supposed to abstain from that because it's rooted in pagan god worship. It's rooted in that, like literally rooted in it. You cannot uproot from an unclean thing what clean can come of it. That's what the scripture said, right? So then somebody trying to convince you, "Yeah, you should let me throw your party." "Oh yeah, I'm gonna see you every birthday. You need to respect my comment. You need to respect my wishes." That's the spirit of the Antichrist. Like that's literally what that is. Anything that causes you or is tempting you or telling you or trying to encourage you to do something that we find in the scriptures that God said not to do, and you find yourself tempted to try to find a compromise. When you find yourself doing it, you are walking in the spirit of the Antichrist. And then when you do it, now through your behavior, you have denied Christ. In your obedience to him, you're confessing him. That's what it means to confess him. So when it says every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God, that confession is not so much as what you say in your mouth. That's part of it. Don't get me wrong. Let's look at how this word is used. Look, to say the same thing as another, i.e., to agree with. What are we agreeing with? We're agreeing with the scriptures. That's what we're agreeing with. Not to deny, not to refuse. Not to refuse what? Not to refuse Christ's right to lord over us. I'm not refusing that right. So when he said, if you love me, you would keep my commandments. But then he also said that the commandments that he gives is not his own, but he don't speak of his own. He speak what he heard of his father. So the commandments that the Most High gave, he sent the Son to reiterate those things to Israel so that we could come back to the covenant and keep those things. So when we do those things, we're confessing Christ to be the sent Messiah or sent Savior from the Father that he promised Moses in Deuteronomy 18:18, that he would send a prophet that's like unto him, and he will put his words in his mouth. And everybody who doesn't listen, let's just get it right quick, because I need you to understand that. Like, don't be deceived. And deception is subtle. Deception is so subtle. And when you're dealing with the heart, the Bible said that the heart is deceitfully wicked. I mean, it's deceitful and desperately wicked, meaning your natural tendency, the natural tendency of your heart is to do what's wrong. It wants to do what's wrong. It want to do what's wrong. It don't want to keep the Sabbath. I want to keep the Sabbath. The more I stay in the precepts, the more I stay in the scriptures, the more I read, the more I'm encouraged to keep the commandments. But if I get knocked off of my pivot, something happens and it shakes me up and it disturbs my spirit, that's where the temptations come in. Now I don't even feel like keeping the Sabbath. Now I don't even feel like doing what's right. Now I don't even feel like keeping the word of God. I still do it. I do it because that's just what obedience is. Obedience is just doing it when you don't feel, even when you don't feel like doing it. You do it. You do it out of fear. Fear of what? Fear of God. Not just love, fear. Not just, yeah, you do it out of love, but I fear God because I love him. I love God out of fear. Just simple as that. Like, yeah, you the man. Shoot, yeah, you the man. Man, I just seen you cut this dude's head off. Yeah, you the man. I love you. Yeah, you love me. Yeah, I love you. And you better say you love me. I'm saying it, bro. I'm saying it. I love you. And I mean it, right? You the one. You the one. You him, right? Let's go. 18:18 says, I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto you. He's talking to Moses, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken, yield, submit, listen to, whatever word you want to insert right there, says, whoever won't do that unto my words, look at my words. This is the Most High speaking. He's going to speak, but these are my words. He's like my puppet. I'm the tranquiliquist, however you say that word, right? Says, my words which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. This is a law. This is a law. And the law of God, you're supposed to believe in Christ. You're supposed to obey Christ. You're supposed to submit to him. You're supposed to confess him. So when it's confession, you're saying the same thing that's already been spoken of him. You don't come and make up your own things about Christ. You got to be in agreement with what has already been spoken about him. And what's already been spoken about him is that he's the Messiah. He's the Lord, and that he's speaking on behalf of the Father. So if you fear God, then you must be obeying the words of Christ. And in that is your confession. But if you don't do that, then you're denying. Now you're denying Christ. See what I'm saying? And any spirit that comes along to try to get you to do anything that's contrary to God, you are that person is walking in the spirit of the Antichrist. That's literally what anti means. Against. Anti against Christ, the Messiah. Against the Messiah. That's literally what it means. It's a spirit, not an individual person, right? Now, a spirit could be on the person that causes them to walk in this spirit of, to cause them to be against Christ or to do things against Christ, right? It says, verse 3, and every spirit that confesses not that Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. Why is this making a big deal of him coming in the flesh? Because him coming in the flesh, meaning he has died and given himself, he's redeemed us. He's the kinsman redeemer. And in being the kinsman redeemer, he's the firstborn of many brothers. Because he died, in order to be able to redeem us, he had to shed his blood, he had to die. So if he died because he was sinless, he resurrected. So the whole thing you're believing. And so if that's the case, if he really did die and he really did resurrect, then what he has become is the Lord over the house of God, which is Israel. He's the Lord over their house. So if I'm not obeying him or I'm denying him, then I'm denying that he has the right to lord over this house. I'm rejecting his lordship. And what did he say about that? He said, I would say of those who didn't want me to rule over them, bring them before me and slay them in front of me. That's what he said in the book of Matthew, right? Says, and this is the spirit of the Antichrist. Look, the spirit of Antichrist, whereof you have heard that it should come, not a person. This stuff that we've heard about this man coming to rule the whole world, to subjugate everybody and make everybody get his market, that come from nonsense. That comes from people who had no business teaching us the Bible. Simple as that, right? Because in the say, what did he say you heard of? You didn't hear about a man who's coming to do this. You heard about a spirit. And look at what he says. And even now already is it in the world. It's already here. It was here during John's day. That spirit had already been there. You see what I'm saying? It has already been there. So, just for you, so you can understand, man, ain't no such thing as a Antichrist as far as one person who's going to rule the whole world, who's going to rule over the entire world. You know what I'm saying? He's going to rule the whole world, and everybody's going to have to get his mark. Everybody's going to have to do what he have to say. Going to have to do what he say. Let's see this word, antichristo. Look at how many times this word is in the Bible. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 4 times, right? So a false prophet, right, has come along to teach us about a man that the Bible doesn't say is going to come, because they misunderstand the scripture. You need the spirit. Spirit got to reveal that to us. And the spirit is revealing it to us in every place. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about the spirit of the Antichrist. And then he calls a person a Antichrist, but he said that's anybody who is against Christ, right? Little children, it is the last time, as you have heard, that the Antichrist shall come. Even now there are many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. He said that's how we know it's the last days, because we heard of the spirit that's going to come into the world, that's going to be against the Messiah, or going to be against the truth, because that's who the Messiah is. He's the truth, not Paul Pierce, but he the truth. You know what I'm saying? And it says this spirit is going to work against him, meaning this spirit is going to be put on many that are going to function and operate against the principles and the oracles of Christ, right? 1 John 2:22. Who is a liar but he that denies that Jesus is the Christ? Right? He is Antichrist that denies the Father and the Son. So let's show you real quick. It's very easy, very simple. This denial, because I don't want you to think I'm just making this up, right? I'm just making it up. Oh no, it's a denial. It's talking about your mouth, man. You gotta say something. All right, let's see. All right. Titus 1:14. I'll start at 14. All right. Not giving heed to Jewish fables, right? And commandments of men that turn from the truth. That, like what we're talking about, commandments of men. What are customs, statutes, things you are regulated to do? That's what commandments are. Fables. Fables are the fables of these Jews. The Jews had what's called the religion of the Jews. That's found in the book of Galatians, chapter 1, that Paul talked about, the religion of the Jews, right? They had fables. One of the fables is the book of Enoch. Enoch is a fable, right? 100 feet men, head in the clouds, picking up men, eating them. That's fable. That's a fable, right? He said, don't give heed to that. And then the commandments of men, where you feel obligated to do things, especially those things that goes against your own culture and your own customs, that turn from the truth. Those things turn you from the truth. He says, unto the pure, all things are pure. But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure. Nothing is pure to them. So you'll be telling somebody the truth about the scriptures. Like I'd be saying, hey man, ain't no such thing as a one man. Antichrist is gonna come and rule everybody and do all this kind of stuff, subjugate everybody, this, that, and the third. He's gonna work within the power. All these people, it's a whole nation of people. Oh man, that sounds crazy. Yeah, because you're impure, you're unbelievable, it's not pure to you. You're not pure, you're defiled, right? Says, and their minds, what's defiled? Their minds are defiled. Says, but even their mind, there you go. Look, bro, I'm just going off the hip. But even their mind and conscience is defiled. Everything about them is defiled. Look, they profess a profession is the same as a confession, is it not? It's part of it, right? They profess that they know God, but in works, they deny him. being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate, meaning they can't even know the truth. They can't know the truth because they love abominable things. They love doing things that are abominable. Just like, just as an example, eating pork, the Bible said that should be an abomination to you, meaning something that you look at and just have total disgust. Ugh, I can't believe I even ate that stuff. What is going on with me? Like, what was wrong with me? Oh, I was lost. That's what happened. And disobedient, meaning you know what to do, but you just decide not to do it. It says, and unto every good work, all the things that the Most High has put in the earth to say this is good to do. It's good to do this. It's good to be this type of person. It's good to be this type of worker. It's good to be this type of spouse. It's good to be this type of friend. It's good to be this type of child, this type of son, this type of father, this type of mother, this type of sister, brother, whatever. Said unto all those work that reprobate, meaning they can't even know. They can't know because their conscience is defiled, right? And the reason it's defiled because they deny the very God that they profess to know. So they're defiled by that, right? They deny him. They deny him through what? Through works. Boom. But in the works, they deny him. So, what you think? I'm just making it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just coming out, oh, man, I heard you, man, but you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man, I'm really trying to give you the truth, right? But anyways, let's go back to where we was at. What was that? Second Thessalonians. Let me see what time it's. All right. We're doing good. Second Thessalonians 2. All right. All right, and then we're the Savior shall come, except we are fallen away first. Man, saying, all right. So when he's revealed, and so here's some characteristics how you know him. Which is a system, like I told you before. I call it a power or a system, right? It's a nation, but it's a power, right? It's though people in the scripture says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against rulers, spiritual wickedness in high places, right? Those that are in high places are the ones who have the authority over you. Those who have the authority to shape culture, those who have the authority to establish customs, those who have that authority, who come and enforce them. And then not only that, but they make sure that they're followed. See what I'm saying? Just like when you look at certain like days, holidays, those who are responsible for making those days national holidays to where now we got to shut down everything. And you have like Christmas. Think about it. For us who have decided not to keep Christmas on Christmas, that feels weird, right? Not to me anymore. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, it makes you feel weird. You're like, dang, that's weird, man. Everybody doing that, and I'm not doing it. And you feel like an outsider, which, if you're not careful, that becomes a temptation to make you say, you know what? No, I'm just gonna do it. Or you look around, everybody said, you look at a car rolling down the street, got 15,000 balloons on it, look like them mother gonna float away like the movie Up, like the cartoon Up, right? And you see them mother rolling down the street. They got the money on their shirt, they got the cake, everybody exalting them. They got pictures up on Instagram, everybody at their party, happy birthday. They got the flute glasses and they drinking champagne and it look like they're having fun and you're missing out on it on the festivities and it make you feel weird and make you feel like you're the weirdo. You are because to be weird or to be strange is to not be a part of what's the norm. But you're supposed to be that. That's what it means to be holy. Holy means to be set apart, right? You are set apart. So in you being set apart, yeah, it's gonna make you feel left out. But on things when it comes to we have to develop a mindset that we love God so much because we got to have a kingdom mind. How you gonna think you're gonna go into the kingdom and you scared to be left out of pagan festivities? You're supposed to go into the kingdom and rule. You're gonna have to go and subjugate people if you're talking about you trying to go into the kingdom and rule. You're gonna have to subjugate. Think people are just gonna come to Christ and be like, yeah, Christ, I'll follow. Not everybody's gonna do that. It's just got the same way how David was when he became king. Everybody initially did not want to follow David. He was a king over Judah first. All the other tribes were like, man, forget David. Same thing they did with Saul. Saul was the king over the king over Benjamin. And everybody else, like, man, forget Saul, man. Everybody trying to follow him. And then it wasn't until he went out and he went to war and killed some people and some Edomites. And then all of a sudden oh yeah, we'll follow him, this, that, and the third. Same thing with David. What you think gonna happen with Christ? It's the same thing. He gonna have to cut somebody's head off before they realize he's serious. before they take him serious. He literally gonna have to chop somebody's head off and look out with his eyes of flaming fire, his red eyes, and stare at everybody for them to be like, you know what? Yeah. You right. Yeah, he the king. Yeah, he the one. He the one. That's what he gonna have to do. So if you're talking about going in and being like Christ and ruling in this kingdom and being a part of this kingdom, like the people that are part of this kingdom is gonna rejoice over those things. They're gonna rejoice over the vengeance of God. You know what I'm saying? So if you're feeling bad because you're being left out on something when you know it goes against the commandments of your God, you got to be careful. That's a temptation. That's the spirit of the Antichrist. Like straight up, straight up. I don't miss those things. I just don't. But part of that is because I feed myself a daily, good, healthy dose of this scripture, of this word, which I encourage y'all to do the same. That's why I always said, read for, you got a Bible, take it and read it, hit the line, ask questions, talk about these things. If you ain't, not keen on reading the scriptures, listen to some videos. It's all kind of people that is preaching these things. It's preaching the scriptures. Listen to the Bible app. That's what I do when I'm driving. I just have the Bible app on. I'm gonna play it almost all day in my ears. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many things that you can do to edify yourself. You know what I'm saying? To help you in your spirit to get past, just the defilement that we went through. When we didn't know the truth. When we were in the world. You know what I'm saying? So but anyways, so it goes, verse 4. He who opposes himself, right? Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. So he says, or that is worship, so that he as God sit in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Please, y'all, please tell me this sounds familiar to y'all. Like somebody tell me this sounds familiar. Please tell me that this language and what he's saying sounds familiar. It don't? All right, let me show you. Let me remind you. Book of Isaiah. Up to the book of Isaiah. Everybody talking about this character is Satan and all this kind of stuff. The spiritual demon Satan. And look, how are you following? First of all, let's see who he's talking. See what he says. Look, verse 3. Isaiah 14:3. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give you rest from your sorrows. So we know this is way in this. This hadn't happened yet, right? Because Israel hasn't had rest from their sorrows. They hasn't had rest from their fear, and they haven't had rest from the hard bondage where they were made to serve. They're still going through the sorrows. They're not in their land. They're still in fear, and they're still under the hard bondage that they were subjugated to, right? He says, when that happens in that day, he says, you're gonna take this proverb against who? The king of Babylon. And when we're dealing with the king, when we're dealing with the king of Babylon, this is not talking about Nebuchadnezzar, right? But this is talking about, the reason it's called the king of Babylon, because like I told you before, in the Bible, when you're dealing with prophecies, one of the things that the Most High does is that he'll talk about nations in the future, and he'll liken them to nations that they're familiar with in their day, or nations that have already come to pass, and he will call them the king of that same nation. But it's not that particular nation. It's a new nation, but it has the characteristics of the old nation, if that makes sense. So with Nebuchadnezzar, when we look at Nebuchadnezzar, what was the thing about Nebuchadnezzar? Nebuchadnezzar, the scripture calls him in the book of Daniel, chapter 2, I think it's chapter 2 of Daniel, in that same what somebody had read earlier, TJ had read earlier in the book of Daniel, chapter 2. It calls this, I think this is about the statue of gold, or no, or is that for for Daniel ordained king of Belshazzar. Okay, image you saw, it's kind of stone. They terror broke his feet, and then he gonna explain. All right, this is dream and interpret. You look at this, Daniel 2:37. You, O king, are king of kings. For the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven has he given unto your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are this head of gold. So Nebuchadnezzar has this dream about a statue. It had a head of gold, shoulder and chest of silver. It had abs and thighs of iron, legs of feet of legs of bronze. No, our abs and thighs of bronze, legs, shins, feet, and toes of iron and clay. Right? It represented these four kingdoms that will arise in the earth, that will be the greatest kingdoms or the most powerful kingdoms that the Most High will raise up, that would be intricate in world history, right? That would shape the world, right? And then the last kingdom that he said, this last kingdom was a kingdom of iron and clay, meaning it's going to be a mingled kingdom. It's gonna be weakened because it's gonna be every like the Babylonians was Babylonians, the Assyrians, I mean the Persians and the Medes, that's who they were. That people, that rulership was made up of them. Then when you get with the Greeks, same thing with the Greeks. It was made up of them. But this last kingdom had diverse people involved in it. This nation, it mingled itself with everyone, right? It went in and blended itself. It blended, pulled everybody in, right? So this last king of Babylon would be like Nebuchadnezzar, where Nebuchadnezzar was pretty much ruling the whole world. Now, when it says rule the whole world, meaning he had a say in what was going on in the world, right? He subjugated so many nations. His kingdom was just vast, right? So in the last days, he's saying there's going to be a man who's going to be like Nebuchadnezzar. He calls him the king of Babylon. It says, this is what you're going to say to him. How has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. So he's going to be oppressive, and he's going to his nation is going to be known as the golden city, or the standard, right? They're the standard for everything, meaning how you act, how you think, how you speak. Everybody's going to speak their language. Everybody's going to use their currency, just like Nebuchadnezzar. Well, Nebuchadnezzar was different because people still had their own language. Not everybody spoke the language of Babylon. But he's gonna have all the nations subjugated, meaning in subjugation, meaning on the world stage, when it comes to trade, you're not going to be able to trade without this nation. This nation is going to set the standards of how trade is done. And then if trade is not done according to their own rules, if two nations decide they want to trade with each other, but it's not done according to the custom and the rules of this king of Babylon, then I'm sanctioning you, right? I'm shutting it down. Why? Because I rule this. You can't trade without my currency. My face have to be on the currency that you trade with. I don't care that you got your own currency, right? This all these things are goes into, we have to take it out of an archaic time and just got to think about real life, right? Take it off the page, just think about real life. This is what it means, right? That's why they call it the golden city. Everybody wants to come to that place. Everybody thinks of that place as a place of gold, right? A place of opulence, a place of freedom, just the place that everybody dreams to get to. Everybody dreams to be a part of this place. That's how Babylon was. A place of mirth, a place of frankincense and partying and lewdness and just whatever you dreamed of. It was whatever you dreamed to do, you can go to Babylon and do it. That's what he says in the last days, that there's going to be a place that's like it. Now watch this. So he goes, yeah. All right, so so all right, so it says the Lord has broke off the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers, right? He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. When you look at this, this is talking about the king of Babylon in the future, right? But when you look at this, look at the language, right? He says, and I ain't gonna bore y'all too much about the Hebrew, but it's, in order to understand what he's saying, we're gonna have to. So he says, Nakah Ebra, Makah Bilti, Sarah Bilti, right? And then we can go into the rest of it, but I just want to look at this right here, right? This Era, Makah Bilti, Sarah Bilti. Now there's a reason why you see these two words, right? So when you're dealing with I'm trying not to, all right. So wrath, we'll just look at the definition. All right, so he says, he who killed, because that's what it means to smote. All right, let's look at this in the car. All right, slaughter, to slay, to kill, right? To strike, smite, hit, beat, slay, kill, right? So this is even through judgment, or to punish people, or to just simply destroy them. All right. So you killer, you slaughterer of who? The people, the nations. In what? In wrath. What is wrath? The Ibra, outpouring, an overflow or excess fury, right? That's what it is. Outbursts of passion, meaning it ain't just you mad, right? It means you go above and beyond. Like you just like, I don't know, do something like drop an atom bomb on somebody or two bodies, right? That's what he's talking about. Utter destruction. Like you went far beyond what you had to, right? So he says this king is going to be somebody who kills nations in just pure wrath. Just he killing ants with sledgehammers, right? And then you see the Makkah, right? That's a particle, right? It means what it does is it denotes in the language, it denotes something else. So it means something that has already been said. It's the negative of it. So when you see this with the continual is bilti. When you say bilti, the reason it's saying that is because there's two particles here. I hate to give a grammar class because I'm terrible at just speaking myself or whatever. But what these particles mean, it means the negative. It means this, whatever was happening, they wouldn't stop it. They didn't stop. Like there was no end to it. Like they just couldn't help it. Like you wouldn't restrain. So it's saying he killed people, went over the top continually. He continued to do it. So because it's built, look at this word built, right? See? But, except, save, nothing less. It's not a word, right? The ability is not a word, right? It's like I don't know what the equivalent would be in English. I suck in English. I don't even know grammar like that. I know more Hebrew grammar than I know English grammar. But anyways, it's all these are just particles. It just means whatever he just said, he's saying he's using it in a negative sense. But when it says with a continual, we said a continual stroke of this idea of stroking, meaning because he just talked about smiting people. So he's smiting people, and this smiting that he's constantly doing throughout history. So this is a ruler who is ruling for a long time, right? So this king of Babylon, he's killing people for a long time. He's known to do that, right? He's known to strike people or to smoke people, kill people for a long period of time, right? In his anger. And now he's been, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hinders, right? Says the whole earth is at rest and it's quiet now. They break forth and singing. That would be a reason why, right? Why would there be a reason? Because look at how he living, right? But look at what he says. Because so we don't miss the point. So it says he opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God and that is worship, so that he, as God, sits in the temple of God. And if you remember last week, we talked the temple. What is the temple? You, us, Israel. Not only just your body, but the body of Christ is the temple of God, right? Because that's what the temple represented. The temple, even in Jerusalem, the temple just represented the Israelites, or represented Israel. It's the place where God has his presence at. He is among his people. He indwells his people. See what I'm saying? The presence of God indwelled the temple the way the presence of God and the Holy Spirit, which is the presence of God, indwells the people. That's what that was about. So it said that this person, as God, is going to sit in the temple of God. He's going to be in the midst of the people of God. His presence is going to be in the people of amongst the people of God, the way that God's presence was among the people of God. And when God's presence was among the people of God, he guided them, he instructed them, he gave them commandments, he taught them how to live, he taught them how to be, he corrected them when they went astray, he punished them when they did something wrong, he rewarded them when they did what was right. Well, it's saying that this man, the man of perdition, this nation or this power, is going to be the same. It's going to be acting in the same way as God did. The reason we went to 14 because I want you to look at this language. 14 and 12. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, O light bringer, son of the morning, right? The light bringer, the light bearer. Light bearer, when you think about bearing light, when you bear light, it means you're a person who holds up a standard of truth, right? Whether that means the truth of God or just your own personal truth. You know how people say, oh, it's my truth. Well, that's your light, meaning this is what guides me. This is my guiding principle. Doesn't mean that it's the actual word of God. It just means I'm guided by this light. You got, just like in the world, you got many different lights. You got flashlights, you got headlights, you got lamps, you got cigarette lighters, you got bright lights, you got dim lights, you got orange lights, you got blue lights, you got blue and red lights, the police, 12, they go 12, right? You got all kinds of different lights. Every single light is not the same, but in biblical context, there is a light that is above all the lights. The light that is above all the lights is the truth of God, which is called the light in the Bible also, right? This person, the Lucifer, or the Lucifer, that's Latin, it means a light bringer, person who brings light, right? So this man, this king of Babylon, is going to be seen as a person who bears like a beacon for everyone else or a guide for everybody else, who lifts up a standard that everybody else has to follow, right? Let me see. Somebody. Statue of Liberty, like statue, that's the representation, right? Statues, TJ said Statue of Liberty bearing the light, right? Statue of Liberty bearing the light. The Statue of Liberty is the light bearer, right? She holds up the light. She's the representation of America in the world, right? At least she's the statue. That's the image of America, if you will. That's what she's supposed to be. But that's a whole. We can get deep into that, but I ain't gonna get deep in that. But so how are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, who did weakens the nation? So here's somebody being destroyed, right? So this person is being destroyed. Look at what he said. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. He exalts himself above all that is called God. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit in the mount of the congregation. The mount of the congregation. What is the mount of the congregation? The mount, remember, mountain means when you see mountains in apocalyptic language or in prophecy, especially prophecy of the last days, mountains represents kingdoms. So this is one mountain, not mountains plural. So this person has decided that they're going to sit on a particular mount. Well, the mount of what? The congregation. The congregation is the children of Israel. Let's see if they have that parsed right. Let me see if they have congregation. See, appointed, appointed meeting, conventional, congregation, season due, set time, of appoint time. No, it's not how they. So they have it translated. This congregation is Moed, but this congregation is a people. The mount of the congregation, the mount of the people, right? The people in the Old Testament, throughout the Old Testament, the so-called Old Testament, when you see the word congregation, most places it's translated for the people, right? So the mount of a congregation in the size of the north. When you look at this language, same way you see right here, anthropomorphic language, as we call it, showing himself that he is God, he would sit in the temple of God. The temple would be the equivalent of the mount of the people, same thing, right? So this kingdom is where he's saying that he's going to sit in Isaiah 14. The language is a little different because we're talking about Greek versus Hebrew, or a whole different time or whatnot, or Aramaic, however people like to say that Paul wrote in or whatnot. But anyways, so this person from Isaiah 14, this king of Babylon, is the same as what we would say is the same as Babylon, right? So when you start dealing with Babylon, you have Babylon the city, but in prophecy you also have something called mystery Babylon. All right. So in when you're dealing with because we'll hold on. Anyway, hold on. Let me see this right quick. Raise up the throne. Oh, hold on. Second Thessalonians. All right. Yeah. All right. So just real quick, let's just look at something. So we'll jump over here, Revelation, because I want to tie in all of this, right? We want to time is it? All right. So we want to tie in all of this. Okay. So we go 17, and this some of you probably have read before, some of you probably haven't, but we'll just go through it because this is all the same. See, the doom of Babylon. This man of sin, son of perdition. What I had just did for you, tried to prove to you that this is the same as this Isaiah 14 character, this person, because this person right here is going to get revealed when? In the last days, right? In the last days, this power structure is going to get revealed. So we're in the last days now. So we should be able to see, or right here, son of perdition. This son of perdition will be revealed in the last days. This lamentation or this parable is taken up when? In the last days, right? But this is going to happen after, because this is when, because if you read it, how are you falling from heaven? He's going to be cast down. He's going to be thrown down. He's going to be destroyed. Well, this person is called the son of perdition, son of destruction, to be destroyed. All right. This Revelation 17 is a fulfillment of Isaiah 14. This comes after Second Thessalonians. This is when the person is revealed, or this is how you can see who this person that Isaiah prophesied about. Paul comes along and say, this is the characteristics, and nothing has changed. He's speaking, all the prophets of God, the men of God, is all spoken the same spirit. So he's not saying something complete. He's not saying something different. Isaiah just takes you to the very end. Paul takes you to a point before the very end, and here is the very end of this man of perdition, son of perdition, man of sin. That's spoken about in Isaiah 14. That's called the Lucifer, which is so ironic to me because everybody say this is Satan. Well, this says that what? That this person comes in what? The energy, even him whose coming or presence is after the working, the energia of Satan. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? All right. Revelation 17:1. All right. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials. Hold on, real quick. Somebody talk to me. Y'all straight? Somebody come off mute right quick. Because I don't want to keep going, and you be lost. Because I know I'm rushing. I'm going through. It was somewhere I was trying to get to. I wanted to get to the natural and just kind of just show you kind of in a natural sense and prove, take it out the Bible and show you in history now that this is Esau and where Esau is today. You know, but anyways, how y'all feel about this so far? Where y'all at? Talk to me. All right, y'all. Come on now. Y'all the antisocial children of God. Y'all must antisocial. What's up? How y'all feeling? Talk to me. What, y'all ain't gonna say nothing? Gangsters don't dance, they boogie.
I feel good.
Y'all good? That's one person. That's TJ. What the rest of y'all at? Y'all straight? Big Debo, y'all straight? Mun, Sylvia,
I'm
Reagan,
tracking.
Candace?
I'm tracking.
Okay. Okay. Sylvia says she tracking. Xavier, y'all straight? Everybody straight? All right, man. I don't want y'all. All right, y'all don't want nobody to be lost now. I'm trying to give y'all opportunity to say if y'all understand or not. All right. So let's jump back into it. Revelation 17. Here we go. 17:1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials and talked with me, saying unto me, come here, and I will show you the judgment of the great whore that sits on many waters. And this revelation, these are all, you know, this metaphoric. So we have uh the seven vials, you know, the one we had seven vials, so seven vials already passed, right? This, which represented the wrath of God being poured out on the earth. He said, come here. He said, I will show you the judgment of the great whore. The reason she called the great whore, the whore being meaning the temple prostitute. That's how that word is normally translated. Is a whole ritual. This has something to do with religious activity, right? Or activity considering worship or honoring of things in a form of worship, just like what we see right here in Thessalonians, where it says he's going to exalt himself above all that is called God, right? Right? Who shall it's up here? Who opposes God, and he exalts himself above God, just like the person in Isaiah 14. Well, here is using it as the metaphor is more of on a feminine sense. Now, understand something about God. God is he doesn't have there's not a separation of a male and female except for in the creation how he created a man and a woman. All right, let's understand that. In prophecy, that's not how those things work. In the spirit, because spirits are neither male nor female in that sense. They're not male and female in the sense where they get married and then they have babies and they no. Spirits are just spirits, right? They're not male nor female. But this what's called anthropomorphic language, things having human qualities, right? He speaks on things like as if they have human qualities. This whore, great whore, is a nation. All right, this is a nation. So it's using it as a great whore because it leads people astray or it deceives people, right? Which deception, meaning with the truth versus a lie. So that's why it's called a whore. That's what the whores would do in the temple of God. You paid a fee, you burn a sacrifice, and then you had to consummate with the temple prostitute in order to have the God that you worship or the God that you sacrifice to in these pagan temples to give you what it was that you were requesting. So that's called making a vow. All right. It says she sits on many waters, many nations. That's what the waters represent, the nations. He'll explain later. It says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. There go again. That's that word again. This has something to do with ritual, right? This is ritual. These are rituals, if you will. It says, and the inhabitants of the earth. Now, don't think rituals like, oh, anybody who's not going into a pagan temple can't be doing. Now, this is just, he's just using this at this is metaphoric, right? Because you can commit spiritual, which we do commit spiritual fornication also, right? Just like with not eating the food sacrificed to idols. That's spiritual fornication, right? Because you're binding, or you're binding your spirit to an idol through the consummation of the act of eating the meal that's dedicated to the idol, right? That's why Christ said, behold, I stand at the door and knock. He who opens, I will come in and sup with him, right? Christ, when he sat down with his disciples, he broke bread, he passed around the cup, he said, eat and drink. This is my flesh and blood of the new covenant, right? That's the whole, that's how the ancient world, that's how they viewed things, right? When men made a covenant, there was take an animal, kill an animal, sacrifice, and they would eat the flesh of the animal to consummate that covenant that they made with one another, just like what Abraham did with Abimelech, and just like Isaac did the same thing with the other Abimelech, right? So he says the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, so a red beast, red, all this red, and it should ring bells, bing, 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 ding, 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 right? All right, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads, 10 horns. He's going to explain what the 7 heads, he's going to explain what the 10 horns are, all right? And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So this woman, she's arrayed in purple and scarlet. When you see that, that's somebody that's rich. That's somebody these are clothing of opulence, right? In the biblical sense. So when you see purple and scarlet, you don't think somebody in a Lakers jersey. It's not Lakers jersey, right? It's not Lakers. This ain't a Laker fan or a Miami Heat fan, right? This is purple and scarlet, meaning these colors, these dyes were hard to come across in the ancient world. So if you had this, only people had these were people of royalty, right? Either they were royal or they came from rich families, right? So purple. And it's sort of like if you see somebody riding down the street in a Bentley, right? Or you see them riding down the street in a Bugatti or something, right? You're like, man, somebody got some money around here, right? So same thing, purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. All this stuff about royalty, having a golden cup in the hand. Remember the golden cup that Joseph had that he put in the bag of Benjamin, to trick them to make it seem like he stole from him so that he could make them go home and get the rest of their brothers or their daddy and bring them back to Egypt. That golden cup represented something that a king or somebody in rulership would be drinking out of, right? All this is metaphoric though. All right. Says verse 5, and upon her forehead was a name written. What? Mystery Babylon. Remember, the king of who? The king of Babylon. This is what you're gonna do in the end. You're gonna and you shall take up this proverb against who? The king of Babylon. This is mystery Babylon. Babylon, this is Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So this is the nation. This is the country, right? Or the landmass that would be represented, that's being represented here by this woman in the vision. This is saying to take up this proverb to the king of Babylon in the end. So let's see what happens to Babylon the Great. Let's see what happens to mystery Babylon the Great. All right, it says, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Christ. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So he saw and was just like enamored, like, oh my gosh, who is that? Right? Like, remember on Batman when Joker saw, what was her name? Vicky Vale or something like that? Like, oh, who is that? Right? That's what he's saying. He's just enamored by her. He admired her, like, wow, she's crazy. Like, look at what she's wearing, look at what she's doing. And she's sitting on many waters. Like, this is a vision. So it goes, and the angel said unto me, wherefore did you marvel? Why did you marvel? I will tell you of the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her. So she's sitting on this beast with the 7 heads and the 10 horns, right? So he's marveling at that fact that this little woman, this is arrayed the way that she is, and she's dressed how she is, and she's drinking out of this golden cup, and she's sitting on this beast, controlling it. That's what it means that she's sitting on the beast. She's controlling the beast. All right. The beast, just to give it away, the beast is the power structure, the nations, the nations, the powerful nations, right? The 7, he'll explain. All right, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. All right. The beast that you saw was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. There go that word again. Perdition. So when you see this, he ascends out of the bottomless pit. Remember earlier, that was a beast that was someone who gets thrown into the bottomless pit, right? In the bottom, and then he was released. Well, he ascended out. Now, when he went into the bottomless pit, it was something else other than what it came out as, even though the metaphor is still the same. The reason being is because, just to give it away, is the Roman Empire that got cast into the bottomless pit, meaning it got destroyed. It got destroyed by who? By I think his name was during the Bar Kokhba revolt. That's what brought the Roman Empire down, right? I think it was like first 100 and something, 126 AD, I believe. But when it went dead for a while, and then it ascended back out, meaning the revived Roman Empire. That's why you see a dragon and a beast. The dragon is the Roman Empire, because the Roman Empire, it went from being just a small little city-state to a republic to an empire to being now all of a sudden it started to get weakened and weaker and weaker until it got destroyed during the Bar Kokhba revolt. And once it got destroyed, then you had the flourishing of all the other nations. And then 500 something AD, that's where you get what's called the Dark Ages, right? So for a long time, we don't get a whole lot of information on how these empires flourished, but that's where you had the Black Moors, you had the Black Kings of England, just like, certain things you would see on like relics and walls and armors, things like that. You had all these, like Ireland. Ireland was the King of Scotland. He was a Black person. First King of England, he was a Black person. Everything you had so many just around the world, just ruled by not all Israelites. Some of these were Hamites, some of these were Japhethites, right? But during that time, that's what you had, and they during the Dark Ages, right? But it came back up, come out of the bottomless pit, and it goes into perdition, goes into destruction mode, right? And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names, right? Whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. What do we get from that? Remember Thessalonians. What did he say about it? Remember, he's a sword in the hand of the Most High. So he comes, it says he's working his presence is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. So everybody whose name is not written in the Lamb Book of Life will wonder after this being, right? And shall wonder after, meaning they're going to follow it. They're going to be enamored by it. And so in all with this way and this culture and this structure and everything, and it's going to follow its direction. It's deception. It's deception that's brought about by who? Let's see who is brought about. With all deceivableness of unrighteousness, that's those who are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life, in them that perish. Why do they perish? Because they're not written in the Lamb's Book of Life. That's what he just said, right? They're not written in the Lamb's Book of Life from the foundation of the world. Revelation 17:8, right? So then it says in 2 Thessalonians, in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, right? They don't receive the love. They don't receive that. And he's talking about the Israelites. This is exactly what he's talking about. Of course, everybody else is going to follow it, but this is their custom and culture. But the deception is on the behalf of the Israelites, right? They're going to be deceived by it, that they might that they won't receive because they did not receive, or because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved, right? Look at 11. For this cause God shall send them strong delusions. What is a delusion? Deception. How are they deceived? Through its power and signs and its lying wonders. Meaning, when it exalts itself, he's going to exalt himself above all that is called God or anything that is worship. Meaning, all the direction, laws, and the commandments that they give, or that it gives, direction that it gives, the Israelites are going to follow this way, and it's going to seem like the right way. Well, Paul already said we're being gathered, but there will be some who's going to fall away. And there will be some who won't be gathered. Why? Because they don't receive the love of the truth so that they might be saved. How are we saved? We're saved by coming back to the covenant of God through Christ. That's how the Israelites are saved. But you have those who refuse to come back to the covenants because they like to keep the way of the beast, or the way of mystery of Babylon, the way of the man of sin, or the son of perdition. They rather hold to their way rather than letting it go and holding on to the way of the Most High, which is the thing that's going to bring salvation. That's what he's saying. I don't know if tell me, am I making this up? Tell me, am I tripping? I'm misinterpreting. Somebody tell me something. Tell me, am I tripping? Somebody tell me I'm tripping, or somebody tell me they tracking. I just need one person, and we'll just rock like that. Where we at?
I'm tracking.
There we go. Appreciate that, Sylvia. All right. So it goes. All right. 17:9. And here is the mind which has wisdom. Now he's going to explain. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. What is this? What are mountains? Somebody tell me, what are mountains? Come on, somebody tell me. Nobody want to say nothing. Come on, men. None of my men ain't gonna say nothing. Y'all know what mountains are? Come on, man. I said it like 4 times already today. I'm gonna say it again. Mountains are kingdoms. That's what mountains are. Kingdoms. You see mountains at places, you'll see hills. Hills are nations. Mountains are the kingdoms in those nations. Like when you look out in just a natural, you have hills in your backyard. Some people have mountains. The mountains are much larger than the hills because the authority, like a kingdom has the kingdom represents the authority of a nation. Just like you have the United States. You have the United States. United States is the country, the U.S., the North America, the landmass. That would be considered the hill. But then when you deal with the governmental structure, right? When you deal with all of it as a whole, it would be considered a mountain. Its ways, its culture, like from the federal government, the Supreme Court, those that uphold the customs and the culture of America. Just as an example, you go to Russia, you have the same structure, but it'll be, the rules and things will look a little different, right? So mountains are the kingdom. So the 7 heads are 7 kingdoms on which the woman sits, right? So this woman, Mystery Babylon, she sits, or she controls these 7 kingdoms. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goes into perdition. All right, there go that word again. So this woman, this Mystery Babylon, this nation, she sits on top of these mountains, meaning she has authority over these mountains. She's one of them. She's a part of them, but she's the one who controls it all. She's the one who's running it. This nation is running it, right? Says the 7 heads are the 7 and there are 7 kings in these 7 heads. There are 7 kings to these 7 nations. 7 kingdoms, if you will, right? 5 are fallen, and 1 is, the other is not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short space. This, like I said, this is where people get this whole idea of Antichrist. But this just means there's a ruler or a nation of rulership that has, in John's day, that just hasn't come yet. He's coming. This is not there yet. This son of perdition, this system, or this culmination of the system, it just hasn't happened yet. In Paul's day, says, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, right? And goes into perdition. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as of yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So the 7 kingdoms and then 7 horns. The horns are is the might. That's the might behind the kingdom. It's like the you would say like the allies. It would be like an alliance. So you have the seven kingdoms, and then you have besides that, you have 10 other kings who give votes or chooses to give those seven kings, the top kings, or those top rulers, the seven top rulers, gives them their power. All right. Says, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. There you go. They give their power and strength to the beast. All right. Says 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is the Lord of lords, the King of kings, and they that are with him are called, chosen, and faithful. And he says unto me, the waters which you saw where the horse sit are peoples, multitude, nations, and tongues. So like I said, that's what the waters represent. And the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. So her allies are going to turn against her, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Pay attention to that. For God has put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast. So once again, who sets up kings? God. The heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord, and like the rivers of water, he turns it whichever way he wills. So he puts it into their heart to hate her or to turn on her. They were once in agreement with her. They were once okay with her and good with what she was doing. And then one day they all started to hate her. Look around the world. Until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which you saw is that great city which reign over the kings of the earth. Last days, this woman is a great city, a great country, who's going to reign over the other rulers that are in the earth. And these rulers, at some point, is going to get tired of her rulership, and they're going to turn on her. 18, because this is what we getting at. 14 said, take up this lamentation when it come to pass that you get rest from these curses, the sorrow, fear, and hard bondage. That's all. When you look in the book of Deuteronomy 28, that's where you see those curses of sorrow, of fear, and of bondage, right? That's for you want to read that, go and look at Deuteronomy 28. You will see that, right? All right, let's read about the destruction. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. So in his vision, he sees this angel come down, and then this angel cries mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and it's become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So this king of Babylon, who's ruling over this place, is going to get taunted because his nation is going to get destroyed. This is when the nation gets destroyed in the prophecy. All right, this is when it gets fulfilled. This is our last days. We haven't got here yet, but this is what we're going to see. All right, says Revelation 18:3, for all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. So all the nations have followed her ways. All the nations have done the things that she said. When she said it's okay to kill your baby, all the nations said, yeah, okay, cool. When she said, oh, it's okay to be gay, oh, okay, bet, cool. It's okay to do this, okay, cool. When she gave the okay because her culture is the one that rules over everyone else. She's sitting on the beast, all right? This country, this nation, because Babylon is the country. The king is over the country. That's from Isaiah. Right now, it's just talking about the nation and its way, right? And the mercies of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So this is talking, what is it dealing with? The merchants. It says merchants. Merchants are traders. People in ancient times, they get on the ships and they go to different lands and they trade. I'm gonna give you beans that we grow on our land for your silk. You know, just like when you heard the Silk Road, right? The trade, right? The commerce. That's what this is about. All right. So they all got rich. So they were in bed with her and they was okay with her and all this kind of stuff. And they got rich off the abundance of her delicacies, meaning the things that she enjoys, the world got rich off of those things by packaging those things and selling those things. All right. Whether that's entertainment, whether that's substance, whether it's drugs, whether it's pills, whether it's drinks, whether it's whatever the case is, it's a nation that got a hand in everything around the world. All right. Says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Don't follow her. Don't follow her instructions. Don't follow this nation. Don't get comfortable to a degree where now the things that go against your God that she's promoting, you start to do those things, or that you continue to do those things. Come out from her. Come out. Separate yourself from that. How do you separate yourself from that? Mentally. And your body is going to follow your mind. That's why he said be transformed, meaning you become a new person who does different things by the renewing of your mind. You got to renew your mind. You got to start things that you saw. That's what repentance is. Change your mind. Things that wasn't a problem now need to be a problem. Once upon a time, this wasn't a problem for me. Now it's a big problem. I used to not. That's why the Bible talks about being asleep or being blind, right? So 5, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she has filled, fill to her double. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she says in her heart, I am a queen. I am no widow. I shall see no sorrow. Why is he saying this? I am a queen. I have my own way. Nobody tells me nothing. Nobody tells me how to be. Nobody tells me what to do. And I'm no widow. I don't follow no God. I'm my own God. That's because when you're dealing in the culture of Israel, that's what a queen was. A queen was a woman who makes her own decisions, like Athaliah, right? When you go and look at the daughter of Ahab, her name was Athaliah. When her son died, she assumed the throne, had no husband. There was no king that was ruling over her. Her husband, when her husband died, she assumed the throne. She had a grandson who was supposed to become king, and she tried to kill him. She went after him. That's a story that's in the book of the Kings, right? She was a queen I have no husband. I have no authority. I have no head. I have no one to lead me or guide me. I guide myself. I'm a queen. And God don't guide me. I'm not a widow, because that's what a widow was. A widow was a woman who was 60 years plus, who subjugates herself to the Most High in prayers and supplications and giving of alms and fasting and things like that. She says, no, I'm not studying that. I'm not studying God. I'm not studying. I do my own thing. I make my own rules and my own laws. I follow my own way. And nobody's going to do anything about it. And shall see no sorrow. Therefore, her plague shall come in one day, death and mourning and famine, meaning God, this country, this nation, all of the things that has been done over time to nations that took time for their destruction, her destruction is going to come in one day. Fast, quick. That just means quickly. Whether that's literal or not, can't say. But what it do mean is when it says one day, meaning it's going to come fast. It's going to come swift. It says, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judge her. All these places where you talk, even when he talks about the lake of fire, this is what he's talking about. He's talking about this nation. He's caught up in the spirit, looking down on the earth, seeing this whole nation on fire. And he calls it a lake of fire. And then when he says things are thrown into it, the reason he's saying people are thrown into it, because he's denoting the judgment of God. That's the idea. The idea is that Christ is going to come back and save his people who've been keeping his commandments, to take them out of the land before this fire comes upon the nation as the judgment of God that destroys it. And everyone who has partaken, that's why he said, come out from among her. Why does he say come out right here in verse 4? And I heard a voice from heaven. That voice from heaven is the Most High saying, come out from her, my people. Come out from her. Why? Because Christ is going to come back and save those who come out from her. That's the whole point. To collect them from the four corners of the earth, to take them into the wilderness as the destruction of God comes upon this nation, not a fire in hell where the ground gonna open up and you're gonna hear a big ha 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 ha. Ain't none of that going on. This is talk when you start dealing in the prophecies about the arrows and all, that's talking about missiles and war and warfare, just utter destruction, right? And like I said, you can follow through when you deal with the dark age, which I was hoping we get to. We probably won't, we'll try to end this today. It says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off from the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that what? Great city Babylon, the golden city from Isaiah 14, that mighty city. For in 1 hour is your judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys their merchandise anymore. So this people these merchants who weren't so much as kings, who weren't rulers, but they were making like companies, right? Certain brands. Those are the merchants. Their product is not being sold because this country had a hand in pushing it forward, setting tariffs and sanctions to people who wouldn't play fair, making sure that people paid whatever amount that this country said was fair. These merchants got rich off of that. So they're going to mourn and lament over the fact that, man, we can't get rich no more, man. Oh, they messed up the money, man. God messed up the money. God messed up the money. That's what, look, the merchandise of gold and silver, precious stone, pearl, fine linen, purple, silk, scarlet, all thyine wood, all the manner of vessels of ivory, all manner of vessels of most precious wood, brass, iron, marble, cinnamon, odors and ointments, frankincense, wine, oil, fine flour, wheat, beasts, sheep, horses, chariots, slaves, and souls of men. This is all the things that were valuable to the ancient world. So whatever the value is today, plug it in. Plug it in. Jordans and cars and planes, PJs, private jets, diamonds, gold chains, entertainment, movies, music. Watch this. Think I'm playing. Watch this. Look, and the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from you, and all things which are dainty and goodly are departed from you, and you shall find them no more at all. Utter destruction. The merchants of these things, which are made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, the great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour, so great riches has come to nothing. It means in 1 hour, it all means nothing now. All we left holding the bag of merchandise that we can't even get off of. We can't sell. It's sort of like somebody went and bought some bricks and some kilos, and the person who was supposed to bring them the money got busted somehow and found sales slips on them, and now they just left holding dope that they can't get off of. Oh no, man, okay, what am I gonna do? Right? And every shipmaster and all company and ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, you heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Watch this. And the verse 22, and the voice of harpers and musicians, pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in you, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in you, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all. Man, at this point, if y'all don't know who Mystery Babylon is, and you sleep. Like if I gotta spell it out to you and say Mystery Babylon is America, if I have to tell you that, and it's some stuff we didn't get to. Hopefully one day we'll go through this stuff and we'll go through some of the prophecies, and it's super clear. It's super clear because this Mystery Babylon is the same in the book of Daniel as the little horn that grows up, has four horns, the four horns, and one horn grows up and plucks up three of them. And when you go through the history and we get to see who these nations, because you have to put a nation on these players, on these characters. You have to put the name of a nation on them. It's not enough to just read it as Mystery Babylon. It was mysterious to them, but why? Because there was a king that had not come yet. There was a kingdom that had not raised up yet. America didn't come around to what, the 1500s, right? This is written in what, like 900 AD, 900 some AD, close to the first century, or in the first century. It would be considered first century, or not 900, but 90 AD, first century, by the Apostle John on the Isle of Patmos. There was no America. It was just Rome, the Roman Empire. It's all they knew. And something would be birthed out of the Roman Empire. Someone would come out of the Roman Empire. So then when Rome was destroyed, what came out of Rome? Britain. Britain came out of Rome. So then when we start getting to, who are the seven horns, and who are the seven kingdoms? Is Greece, Britain, France, Germany, Russia, Spain, and Rome. And the 10 powers, the 10 horns: Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, England, West Germany, and Ireland. The EU. It's simple. I mean, it's simple now. It's simple to me now, right? Once upon a time, it wasn't. But now, like, especially now, I know a little more about history. I know a little bit about history and become a student of it a little bit. I kind of just like, oh yeah, I can see it clear. I can see it clear. When you start dealing in Zechariah and the when he explains who the horns are, who these certain players are, and he says, oh, these are the ones who are responsible for scattering Israel and Jerusalem. Only thing you got to do is go back and look at the historical record. You go back and look at the historical record of who were the main players who had a hand. You can Google that. Who were the main players who had a hand in the transatlantic slave trade? Who are top nations involved in the transatlantic slave trade? Portugal, Britain, France, Spain, the Netherlands, Denmark, the United States. What do all these nations have in common? They're all byproducts of Rome, the European power structure. Then when you go through and then you do the history of the top three of these nations, who were the top three or the top four, then you can follow God did not make these things impossible to. Why would he even tell us these things if they're just impossible to ever know or impossible to ever understand? He wouldn't tell us this stuff if without us being able to know. When you're dealing with let's finish this out and then we'll go into that, right? All right, and then we'll end. We're already at almost 2.5 hours. All right, and the light of a candle shall know. So the voice of higher noise is like, man, can't be talking about America, man. I ain't never seen them play no harp. I ain't never, man. That new kids came out, man. Bro, ain't playing no harp. What you talking about? Nobody play no harp, dude. There's musicians, but I don't see no harp, man. It gotta be somewhere else, bro. Pipers, what you talking about, man? Trumpeters, man. With Louis Armstrong been dead, cuz. Like, nah, bro. This is so archaic, right? These were the top musical instruments of that day, right? Now, what's the top musical instruments? MP4s, beats machines, right? Auto tune. Plug it in however you want. But whatever it is in this place, this is what it's known for. It's known for its music and its musicians. It's known for to be very crafty in its crafts and things that they make and export, even things that they import, things that they even buy in bulk and sell it to other nations. It's entertainment. It's when you start looking into the equivalency of these things within just regular reality of today's time. Yeah, it's not hard to figure it out. It gives you the timeline. Says in the future, whatever this mystery Babylon is, it's the same as Isaiah 14, same as Second Thessalonians 2. It's a empire that's ruling. When you go into real quick, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that was slain upon the earth. Now, so you can see, I don't have to make it up, right? That's why I told y'all to read Daniel 7. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions upon his head, upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. And this dream that he's having comes in different forms. It's like 4 times in the book of Daniel, but they're different. It comes as sheep and goat, as a big he goat, and then there's you got that, you got the statue of Nebuchadnezzar, you got this, and then you got another one where people get the whole Antichrist name, Daniel 9. So you got Daniel 9, Daniel 12, Daniel 2, Daniel 7, and even other places. Like it's all consistent, right? The Bible is consistent. Daniel spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. Remember that sea. What is sea? The great sea is the Mediterranean. That's what the great sea is in this context. Meaning he saw the 4 winds. I probably shouldn't even ask. I ain't even gonna ask because I ain't gonna put y'all antisocial anyway. Y'all don't like talking to me anyway. That's fine with me. So we go Zechariah 6:1. And let me show you how consistent the Bible is. And I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains. 4 what? 4 winds. What are the winds? Spirit. Ruach. The Ruach. Wind. Spirit. These are 4 spirits that he's having a dream about. He's dreaming. This is apocalyptic language. He's dreaming of 4 spirits. These 4 spirits of heaven. They strove upon the great sea. So they're marching. Here they come, marching across the great sea. And I turned, lifted up my eyes, and behold, there are 4 chariots come from between 2 mountains. And the mountains were mountains of brass. Mountains of brass. What is the brass? Remember the statue. You had the head of gold. Then you had the shoulders and the chest of silver. The abs and the thighs of brass. What did that? Just saying that this is their empires that it come from. But let's just read it. In the first chariot were red horses, and in the second chariot, black horses. In the third chariot, white horses. The fourth chariot, grizzled and bay horses. Then I said unto the angel that talked with me, what are these, my Lord? And the angel answered and said unto me, these are the 4 spirits of heaven, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. He's not going to tell that works. He's just going to tell where they go. But watch this. Where do we see that at? For you who are students, 5. And I saw on the right hand of him. No, it is 6. So sure. All right. And I saw the Lamb open one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the 4 beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, and this 4 beasts, the 4 beasts here, if you read before this, talking about the 4 creatures, the 4 living creatures before the Most High, one with the head of a lamb, one with the head of a human, one with the head of a calf, and one with the head of a lion. All right, it says, and I saw, and behold, a white horse. What? Ain't that what Zechariah just said? Look, the first chariot, red horse. Second one, a black horse. Third one, white horse. Fourth one, grizzled and bay horses. Revelation, a white horse. And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So this white horse that he saw in Zechariah, that Zechariah saw in his vision, was the spirit of war, or was the spirit of conquering. So this is gearing up at ancient times to, because this vision Daniel had, something is about, he's about to learn something. So these four spirits, he shows up in his dream. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. So it's a spirit of war, right? Second seal of war, right? And that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. So this is all this is happening in ancient times, all right? And when you start dealing in, certain stuff like the Minoans, the Mycenaeans, ancient Greece, those places, you'll see how those places came into being. These, even way back with Nebuchadnezzar, I mean not Nebuchadnezzar, but Nimrod. Even Nimrod, there was wars during the time of Nimrod, after the building of the Tower of Babel, with Shem. The stories is that Shem is the one who kills Nimrod. He goes out, and him and some of his people, and him and Japheth, and then Ham, and they go and they take their children out, and they part land out, and they parse land for their people and all this kind of stuff. And then Shem comes back and go to war with Nimrod, and he kills Nimrod. Like, the stuff is just it's history, right? It says, when he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances. The balances, these are shackles in his hand. So slavery is going forth. So now they're enslaved. So somebody's conquering, they're conquering lands, war is breaking out, people are being enslaved. And I heard the voice of him in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see that you hurt not the oil and the wine." So now there's the creation of poverty, of poor people. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, the black and grizzled. Gray and grizzled. Gray and bay. Grizzled, gray, and however that's worded. How is that worded? Yeah. Grizzled and bay horses. That's your pale horse. Right? And his name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed after him. Now, hell, that just means the grave. Death and the grave. And power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So here's Daniel. He sees all this. And this is the last I'm going to show you. Then we're going to end. I promise. That's my word. I'm good. I ain't going to drag it out too much. The 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. This first beast is Babylon. That's Nebuchadnezzar. That's his insignia, the lion. But like I said, there's other places in the book of Daniel that unlocks all that. It's the same nations that was in. If you go and read about the statue, you're gonna see the same. It's the same nations, right? The Most High is redundant. He wants us to know this stuff. You just got to be willing to do the research, and to search, and to read, and to seek. Because if you seek, you shall find. If you knock, it will be open unto you. Right? If you ask, you shall receive it. It will be given unto you. That's what the Bible, that's his promise to his children. It says, "And behold, another beast, a second, like a bear, like to a bear. And it was raised up on one, it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth of it, between the teeth of it, that they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh." What is this? It's the Persian and Mede Empire. That's why the bear is lifted up on one side. The bear is lifted up on one side, or raised up on one side, is because the Persians were stronger than the Medes. The Persians had actually went in and conquered the Medes, which is one of the ribs that was in his mouth, along with Egypt. Egypt was one of the ribs. Who did they destroy? They destroyed because I will go into here and there's this. Let me see, where is it? Where is this at? It's not under there. It's under my studies. I know it's under my studies, but where is faith? I think it's under this one. Translated for. There's a site. I don't know where I keep it at, but there's a site I used to go on. It tells you all the wars that has taken place over history, over the time of history. You see, I got a lot of stuff on here. No, it ain't in this folder. But either way, there's a site that tells you all the wars that has happened on the earth that helps you understand what's going on here. And I'm gonna find it when we get off, and I'll post it in the chat for you who are interested, if you are interested or whatnot. But yeah, it says, after this, I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon it the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given into it. This beast, that's Greece. That's why it's like a leopard. He's fast, swift. That's Alexander the Great. He conquered swiftly. He conquered he conquered almost all of the known world by the time he was 32 years old. And then he died. The 4 wings, on the back like a fowl, and the 4 heads. The 4 heads are the four governors, or the 4 men that he gave his kingdom to. You understand some of that if you ever read the book of the Maccabees. Maccabees explains some of this, right? In the book of Maccabees. Then he says, after this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. Look at that. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the root. So this little horn defeated the 3 of the horns that were already there amongst the 10 horns. They were among the 10 horns. If you look, like I said, when you look into the history, you have America being the little horn, 3 of the horns that it plucked up: Britain, France, Spain. Those are the 3 superpowers that America has defeated on its way of becoming a world superpower of its own. It's not that difficult. And then I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was as white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, the books were open. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spoke. I beheld even to the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. Didn't we just read that in Revelation? As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, and that was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom. Obviously, this is Christ, right? That all people, nations, and languages should serve him. This, if you read in Daniel 2, with the statue, there's a rock that comes and crushes the statue, the feet of the statue, crumbles it, and then this rock becomes a mountain that fills the entire earth. That's the kingdom of Christ, right? His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom is that which shall not be destroyed. And then he gives him the interpretation. The great beasts, which are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth, and they all come out of the same areas, the Mediterranean. It says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, breaking pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were on his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn which had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Ain't that what it says about in Revelation with Mystery Babylon, right? This Mystery Babylon is God has avenged the saints because she mingled the blood of the saints, shed the blood of the saints. She made war with them. Who did? This horn, this little horn with the eyes all over, with the big mouth, speaking blasphemies that destroyed the other 3 horns, became this great superpower. And he did this. When did they do this? Until the Ancient of Days came. And judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. We just read that in the book of Revelation. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down. But it ruled in anger, right? In wrath. Didn't relent off his wrath. Smote nations, smote them continually, all the way up until the Ancient of Days came back. This 4th kingdom is going to be in rulership. This 4th kingdom is the kingdom that destroyed the 3rd kingdom, because that's how it happened. You had Babylon, then the Persians and the Medes came and destroyed Babylon. That's in the Bible, in the book of Daniel. I think that's I forget what chapter that's in, but that happens. And then you had Alexander the Greek who came along. He kills Darius, who Darius was the last king of the the Persian Empire. The Medes, because remember it was Persians and the Medes. King Cyrus was the king of Persia. King Darius was the one who ruled in the name of Media. Then Alexander the Great comes and he kills Darius. That's history. That's a historical fact. Then Alexander the Great, he just dies. He dies, they believe he died from syphilis, which could be true. And I don't know. Greeks were freaks, but hey. Then he dies. He divides his kingdom between his 4 generals. They subjugate the Israelites. Then the Israelites raise up against Antiochus Epiphanes with Judas Maccabees and his brothers. They defeat the Greeks. And then once they defeat the Greeks, then you had what's called the Hasmonean dynasty. And during the Hasmonean dynasty is when the Israelites ruled them and governed themselves. But then you had Mark Antony that rode into town. And then he ended up overthrowing John Hyrcanus, who was the last descendant of the Maccabees, or whatnot, to rule over Israel. And then from there, that's when you get the establishment of Herod. And then, you can go into the story of Julius Caesar, and you go into all that, right? But then, like I said, but the Romans, by the time Christ comes on the scene, Rome is in power. And Rome is in power through who? King Herod. Guess who King Herod is? King Herod is from Edom. He's an Edomite. Guess who? Alexander the Great. Edomite. He was Edom. And all of this is prophesied in the Bible. You can go to First Kings. Is it First Kings? Yeah, First Kings. I think that's Numbers. You go to Numbers with the prophecy of Balaam. When you talk about the ships from Kittim, who was Kittim? Kittim was a Japhthite. But then the book of Jasher talks about how the people of Kittim overthrew the Edomites and subjugated them, and then they became one people, the Edomites, after the king of Kittim ended up getting killed. The Edomites revolted, but then you had the Nabateans that came in and subjugated them back into the lands of Kittim, and then they became one nation. And from there, they sailed out, and when they sailed out, they sailed upward to the Mycenaeans, took over their land, became the Greeks. Then from there, that's when you had the other, because not all the Edomites were just subjugated into one place. They migrated, and then they migrated up into the north, up into the lands of Turkey and all that, and then come back down. And when they came back down, when you had these new Greeks or the Macedonians, who they called themselves the Macedonians, took over Argos in the Argead Sea. They defeated them and went up, and they had a war with these other people. Where you get the story of Romulus and Remus, the Battle of Troy. The Battle of Troy is the Greeks, because remember in the mythology, it's the Trojan horse. They bring in the Trojan horse, sets up the Trojan horse. They had Greeks inside of this, and then when they parked it in there, they closed their walls. And then at night, they jumped out of this Trojan horse and then set Troy on fire. And this big war breaks out, and then these people ended up escaping. And that's where you get the myth of Numitor. I think his name was Numitor, but his brother Amulius or whatnot is the one who was leading this Greek onslaught of the city of Troy. But then he runs off his brother Numitor, because they were brothers. And he runs off Numitor, and then he kidnaps his daughter, kills his son, and his daughter was pregnant with twins. But he forced her to be a vassal virgin amongst the priestess, but then she claimed that she got pregnant by Mars. And then she have the two sons called Romulus and Remus in the mythology or whatnot. And then Amulus, he goes back and he take these two sons, give them to a servant, and tell him to take them out and drown them in this flash flood. But then he supposedly leaves them there because the flood was, it was too fast and he was scared, so he leaves them there. And then this wolf supposedly come to find Romulus and Remus, takes them, nurses them, and then this shepherd man finds them so many years later, come to find out, oh, that's them. And then they grow up, realize who they are, go back, fight against their uncle, and defeat him and put their grandfather Numitor back on the throne. And then he gives them land, and then they go out to consecrate some land for themselves, where they get into a dispute. Romulus kills Remus, and then he names the land Rome after himself. That's the story that they have in history. But it all starts with the Edomites. It all starts with Edom. So the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, this last kingdom, this fourth kingdom that we're reading about right here, Mystery Babylon, the king of Babylon from Isaiah 14, those are descendants of Edom. The man of sin that we read right here, that's Edom. The country you live in is Edom. America is Edom. Europe is Edom. Russia is Edom. All of those are Edomites. Those lands belong to Japhethites, to Japheth's children. And they conquered them. Why did they conquer them? And I know I said one more. Please, y'all, forgive me. One more. This last one. Just the last one. This is Ezekiel 32. We won't even go over the whole thing. I'm just going to read this one passage just to show you, and then we can go from there, right? And you can go back and read this stuff yourself. Look, Ezekiel 32:26. There is Meshach, Tubal. Who is Meshach, Tubal? Go and read the table of nations in Genesis chapter 10. The Bible is a jigsaw puzzle. You got to put in work. You definitely got to spend some time. You got to sacrifice time. You definitely got to sacrifice time. Look, the sons of Japheth. This is Genesis 10:1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Yaveh, or Javeh. It's really Yawan in the Hebrew, Tubal, and Meshach, and Tiris, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah, and the sons of Yawan or Javan, Elisha, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. The thing that struck me strange when I was reading this is that when it broke down the grandsons from the sons that came from the sons, the grandsons of Japheth, it only named two of the sons, Gomer and Javan. But Japheth had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sons, but it only named two of their descendancies. But everybody else with Ham and Shem, it named a whole bunch of their children. But the reason being is because Gomer, when you look at Gomer, this for you Bible, like I said, the Bible thumpers, y'all should remember that was a man in the Bible who had a wife named Gomer, right? The word Gomer that's where you get the word Germany from. Ashkenaz, remember Ashkenazi Jews? Germany, these are black people. Japheth is black. He's the brother of Ham. Ham is these are Africans. These mothers is black. You see them little black kids be walking around the neighborhood where they say ain't no such thing as a black person, and I be like, nah, man, I seen some black people before. You capping. I seen some others that's black for real. Them others is black. Now they brown. I understand they got a lot of, but man, they dark, right? These are dark people. So how did Germany become what it looked like? The Ashkenazi Jews, how they come looking like that? Yo, Javan, this is Italy. No, this is Greece. This is Greece. Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, Dodanim. These are all black people. How did they? Because what did Isaac say to his son? You will live by the sword. Now, this, like I said, there is Meshach and Tubal, and all her multitude. Her graves are round about him. All of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Though they caused their terror in the land of the living. These people, they were known to be merchants. They were good at selling and making ships and building ships. All the sons of Japheth was. Just like that's why I talk about the ships of Kittim, ships of Chittim, if you will. They were good at that, but they were also warriors. They were fearful. They were savages, raiders coming to your land and, man, slice you up, dice you up. They conquered too. And they shall not lie with the mighty that are fallen of the uncircumcised, which are gone down to hell with their weapons of war. Meaning they won't be celebrated as mighty men. They'll be forgotten in history. That's what that means. And they have laid their swords under their heads, meaning the people who buried them gave them honorable burials, meaning they buried them as warriors. You hear songs of Alexander and Napoleon and other great, even Hannibal. You hear stories of these men. You don't never hear nothing about Meshach and Tubal. Why? He says, but their iniquity shall be upon their bones. Meaning, I'm not gonna allow them to live in glory. Though they were a terror of the mighty in the land of the living. They were a terror of the mighty. Mighty men were afraid of them. Say, even though mighty men were afraid of them, they still gonna go with no memory. And guess who did it? The Edomites. Edom is the sword of the Lord in the earth. He's the law and rule of the earth. The Most High set it up that way, but he himself shall be destroyed. And it said by the brightness of his coming, meaning he's going to be in rulership all the way up until Christ actually comes back. That's what the Bible screams. That's why it screams, come out from among her. Look around. And that's what we should be doing. What we should be doing is looking at our lives to see how many of the things do we honor that go against God that we learned in this country that we do, and we think that's who we are, how we live, how we think, who we believe ourselves to be, who we think we should be. The things that we think are just harmless and it's ain't no big deal. We should be considering those things. We should be considering the type of people we are, the type of husbands we are, the type of wives we are, the type of children we are, the type of parents we are, the type of friends we are, the type of believers we are. And one of the deceptions that the Most High has put in the earth to deceive even the Israelites, because their names are not found in the book of life, was Catholicism, Christianity. Well, the Pope claimed to be a God. He claimed to be God. Literally. And they changed the Sabbath. They changed Sabbath worship to Sunday, to the day of worship of the sun, the sun's day. And all that information is just there's no big deal. Says who? That ain't what the Most High said. He said he gave a day to be venerated. So it's a lot. I understand. I apologize to y'all. I really do. I apologize on behalf of the fact that we were misled and we were deceived to the point where this stuff gets exhausting, trying to figure out what we're supposed to do, who we're supposed to be. And it's hard, but that's how it's supposed to be. And the reason it's supposed to be hard, because you were promised a kingdom. Oh, all right, I know I said, man, but this is only because this is the Lord speaking. And this is just encouragement. I'm just going to show you just the two things that Christ said, and then let him speak, and that's it. Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes what? Overcomes the man of sin, the son of perdition, his system, the beast of Revelation, his system, the dragon, the power of the Roman Empire that has been from time that was and is and will be no more. That dragon, that system, that beast. If you overcome him, his ways and his teaching, his direction, his customs, his culture, if you overcome it, I will grant you to sit in my throne, even as I also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. Let he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. That's what we're fighting for. Like, that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for those things. We're sacrificing for that. Last one. That's what Christ said. He said, I know your works. So I know your labors. I know your patience. I know that you can't bear them which are evil. So I know you have a zeal to do what's right. He said, and you have tried them which say they are apostles. People that come through preaching saying they know something about the Bible. You try them. You can say you're even so quick to reject anybody that sounds like they're not speaking the truth. He says, and they're not. You were right. They are false. Says they are not apostles and have been found liars. You found them liars. You see it. You see the tricks. You see the lies. You see that stuff. You stop believing in certain things. You stop doing certain things. He says, and you have and has borne and has patience, and for my name's sake has labored and have not fainted. Nevertheless, I have something against you. What do I have against you? Well, you've left your first love. Yeah, you read and you meditate, you think, and there was some things that when you started learning, this is who I am, I need to stop. You did that, but you're drifting. You're missing Egypt. You want to go back to Egypt. You're missing that. You're feeling weird. You're feeling left out. You're feeling abandoned because you're no longer doing that stuff and everybody else is doing that stuff and it makes you feel lonely. But hey, remember therefore from which you are fallen and repent and do the first works. If not, then I will come unto you quickly and will remove your candlestick out of its place, except you repent. But this you have, that you hate the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. These are Edomites also. It says, I hate their deeds too. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. And to him that overcome, I would give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. That's the reward that we're fighting for. You know what I mean? And that's part of why I wanted to just go through and at least break this stuff down so you can see. I didn't want to just read Romans 9 and just leave it to be and just let you come up with your own this. Well, we probably would have just moved over. Some of you probably never went back to it ever again. But I wanted to break down and make sure that it was clear to us that when the Bible is talking about the vessels of honor and vessels of dishonor, it's talking about two distinct nations that come from one lump of clay. That one lump of clay is Isaac. The vessels of honor are the Israelites that descended from Jacob, and the vessels of dishonor are the Edomites that descended from Esau, who Jacob's name was turned to Israel, and Esau's name was turned to Edom. So you have the Israelites and the Edomites, descendants of Edom, descendants of Jacob, or descendants of Israel. So I hope this wasn't too messy. I hope it wasn't too unorganized or too confusing. I tried to do the best I could with the time I have and then the time I had, and then with the information that I got. For the most part, I did a lot of research on this, and it's still ongoing for me because I'm still learning just like y'all. I'm still learning too. I've learned a lot, and I'm done. But I just want to, for you who actually be interested in this stuff, I just want to show just this. I found this little. Look at this. This is a book from like 18 something, but the information. Look at where the information is from. This information is from 973 to 1050. BC. That's where the information comes from. Watch this. Look at this. Because I was gonna harp on this, but they have, I want to be respectful of your time. Look at this. All right. I don't know if y'all can see this. It says, he says, I have enlarged on this subject because he talked about a lot of lies. He was like, throughout history, people have told a lot of lies. He was like, it's hard to get through the lies. And he's right. He says, I have enlarged on this subject only in order to show how partial people are to those whom they like, and how hostile towards those whom they hate, so that frequently their exaggeration in either direction leads to the discovery of their infamous designs. That Alexander, that's Alexander the Great, the Greek, right? That Alexander was the son of Philip is a fact. So that's a fact. Alexander was the son of Philip, the Macedon, right? Now, why is that a problem? Because he's called a Greek, but the original Greeks are not Macedonians. He said, now it's a fact. Because he's like, people mix history. You'll see they're talking about the white sons of Japheth, the white sons of Canaan. He's like, no, man, all that is a lie. And he goes into the archive and dig up a whole lot of information that people left about themselves. This is all look how this is written. It's written in these weird forms. This is Arabic, right? He goes, is a fact too evident to be concealed. His pedigree or his descendancy is stated by the most celebrated genealogists in this way. So he said the most, that's the way we would say the most decorated or most recognized scholars, or the best doctors, the best doctors are. He said the genealogists, people who study people's genealogies, the most celebrated of them, this is what they say about Alexander's descendancy. So Alexander would be here, or up here, and then his father is Philip, right? Then you have Philip's father that is written in Arabic, but it's not written in English. Then you have Hermes, so a man who went by the identity of Hermes, which you have in Greek culture because they assume other people's identity, right? Let's go to the next page. How do you go to the next page? Turn the page, bro. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Pull this up. All right. So Hermes. So dude called himself Hermes that you read in Greek literature. And then he going backwards. Watch this. Sorry, this stuff is not really easy to navigate. Look. Matan. Then his father's name was Rome, called himself Rome. Then his father, I don't know what his father's name is. I don't read Arabic. Then you had Yunson. Then Japheth. Japheth, that's Japheth. That's where you get Japheth, which is crazy, right? Then you have his father. Then you have Ramiah. Then his father's name was Byzantium. If any of you ever heard of the Byzantine Empire, right? His inspiration comes from, he was a descendant of this Byzantium guy. Then you had Theophile, right? Then another guy who called himself Rome, Al-Asphar, Al-Safor, however you pronounce that. Watch this. Eliphaz, and if you ever looked at the genealogy of Esau in the Bible, because it don't go as far back like that. It don't in the Bible. It don't give you all that. Where's the genealogy of Esau? I think it's 36. All right. These are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan. Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. Hittites, that's who was in Mount Seir, Hittites and Horites. And Aholabama, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zebion the Hivite. And Bashemeth, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebaioth, which what's crazy is he changes this woman's name because now watch this, 36:3, Bashemeth, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebaioth. Y'all, please, if somebody got a good memory, just remember that. Bashmath and the sister of Nebaioth. Let's go back a couple of chapters. Let me show you something. When when Jacob is taken away, or when he's sent away because Esau wanted to kill him, when his daddy or his mama tells him to leave, look at what it says. It says da da da. When Esau saw, this is Genesis 28:6. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take him a wife from there, because remember, Esau, if you remember the story, Esau started marrying Canaanites. And his mother was like, oh my gosh, these women I hate these women. They're gonna make me have a heart attack, basically. He gonna kill me marrying these freaking Canaanite women. They hate, and he thought that's why Isaac gave the blessing to Jacob. Look, when Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take him a wife from there, because Padan Aram is where Laban was, where Jacob ends up marrying Leah and Rachel. Those were his cousins through his mother's side. That was his mama's brother. Laban was, right? Says, and that as he blessed him, he gave him charge, saying, you shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Esau had already done that. So he's thinking that's why he didn't get the blessing. It says, and that Jacob obeyed his father and his mother and was gone to Padan Aram. So he see Jacob getting blessed because he obeying Jacob and Isaac and Rebekah. He has a change of heart all of a sudden. And Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Isaac his father, then went Esau unto Ishmael, okay, and took unto the wives which he had Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife. When he gets to the land of the Hittites or Horites, Mount Seir, he renames that woman Bashmath. But what's weird about it is that when you go down and you start looking into, because it's going to name these Horites, it's going to name Mount Seir. So it names the Horites. And one of his daughters, the Horites' daughters, and Aholabama, or is that Aholabama? Or is this? No, it's Bashmath. But yeah, Bashmath. He names her Bashmath after one of the descendants of the Horites. And his sons also. Some of his sons, he named them after the sons of the Horites in Mount Seir. They go into Mount Seir, kills everybody, and then he starts to take on their identity, and they call themselves they claim that they're from Mount Seir, which the Bible tells us that God gave them Mount Seir. The same way he gave the Israelites the land of Canaan. He gave he gave Esau the mountains of Seir, Mount Seir, just like what we just saw in Petra. The place Petra, that's down in Mount Seir. That's down there, right? But my point is we're going to look at, because I don't want to lose a point. All right, these are the names of Esau's son. Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau. Remember Eliphaz. So it has some validity. Eliphaz, the son of Esau, the son of Isaac, the son of Abraham. This is Alexander the Great's genealogy record. I never even knew this existed. I'm just on the internet, just doing research, just reading stuff. I'm a internet sleuth like that. Like I see something, I click it, read all this stuff. I read all this stuff. Read what it's talking about. Then I see, because I saw the chronology of ancient nations. When I see that kind of stuff, it piques my curiosity. And so I was reading this guy who does this genealogy record of Japheth, And he makes mention of this genealogy. And there was a link to it. So I click on it and it brings me here. And then it goes, oh, snap. What other proof would I need to know that Alexander the Great is an Edomite? And that Edom, or that Greece, which was not known as Greece, the Romans called it Greece, or called them the Greeks. They were called Ionians, right? That's in the Bible, right? The Ionians. And so the Ionians, they took upon the identity of the Ionians. And then I guess after a manner of time, they sail up and they go to war with who we know as what we call the Romans, or at least the progenitor of the Romans, because they weren't called the Romans yet. It wasn't called Rome. See, like that name Rome, it's not because of a country. He didn't name himself Rome because of a country. It's just that these people are they're all the same. The Greeks and the Romans are from the same stock. Just like with the Russians who come from the Rus people. They're all the same stock, all from the same stock. So when you look at America, America comes from where? Great Britain. Great Britain comes from where? From Rome. Matter of fact, Russia is called in the mid-19th century, 16th century Russian sources were published that alluded to Moscow as the Third Rome. The Third Rome. This Moscow's in. This is the signet. One of the signets right here. Moscow, Third Rome. Two-headed eagle. Rome's signet, or their icon, was what? An eagle. Edom's signet, watch this. The god they worship, it's crazy. God of Edom. Kos. This is the god of Edom. Kos. Kos, or Kos, was the national god of the Edomites. He was the Idumean structural parallel to Yahweh. See that? Watch this. You click on it. What's over? This is Kos. An eagle. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? I'm telling you, man, this Bible don't lie, man. This Bible crazy. Smug is crazy. This Kos. This is a Nabatean woman. Look at her. You know what? You just look and tell what race she is, or quote unquote race, if you want. This is ancient. So, but anyways, like I said, man, this is what I do. I lock myself up in my room and I just go crazy on read this stuff. I just read. I enjoy it. I like reading. I like reading this about this stuff. I don't like reading everything. I just like reading about this stuff. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating. So, but anyways, like I said, I hope you are encouraged. I hope I didn't confuse nobody. I hope nobody's confused and nobody's lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? Like earring and spaghetti. But this is why I say, all right, any questions, comments, anything I got wrong, I should change, anything, I need to clarify, or anything like that I said that sound like I'm double talking or is not consistent. No? Somebody give me a no? Can I get a what?
No.
Nope. All right. Me mom has spoken. I think that was my mom who said that. But all right. Well, nothing else then. Give all honor, praise, glory, majesty to the blessed name Yahweh, who do so by his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shah. That means Messiah, Yahweh Shah, whose name in English they call him Jesus Christ. So next week, we're off next week. I might give y'all a quiz. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna see. What y'all think? Y'all want a quiz or y'all don't? I'm gonna let y'all choose. What y'all want to do, man? What y'all want to do?
Yeah.
I want a quiz.
You want a quiz? All right.
Quiz.
Hey, there it is. For y'all who didn't want one. Too bad. Huh? Say
Who
what?
said that?
Who said what?
Who said they want a quiz?
Gang. The gang. They said they want the quiz. So y'all getting a quiz. So yeah, I'll put it together. I won't make it too hard. I won't make it difficult. I'll make it simple. I'll make it where now some of this stuff that I covered today might be on there, but not too. I ain't gonna get too crazy on y'all. I might throw a question or two on there that it's gonna cause you to think and do some research. But not a whole lot. It'd be something that you could easily find, not like third grade work, more like I don't know, 10th grade, AP. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we'll do I send over a quiz. I'll put it together, and so throughout the week, be looking for that. And right before I post, I'll let you know that I'm about to post it, so y'all can at least be on alert and get that done. So next, and y'all have 2 weeks to get it done. So you have till the 7th of December. So we'll resume the 7th of December, and we'll finish. Now we through the hard parts of Romans. We passed that. That's why I told you it's one of the most important, to me, it's one of the most important chapters in the Bible, because all of that is what you have to pull out so you can understand that. And if you can understand that, hopefully you can from there you can understand the stuff we've been talking about before, and then the stuff moving forward. And hopefully this stuff don't sound crazy no more when they say that God is a God of a people. It's just true. God does what he want to do. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not comforting at times, because we like to think that we can sway him to do something, but we can't. God does what he want to do when he want to do it. Nobody's gonna stop that. The most that we can do is obey him, follow his commandments, and then at least from there we can have an audience with him. You know what I'm saying? Like from there we can have an audience. Without that, you can't even have an audience with him. Like he's not like us. He don't need to compromise. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have sin of his own. He's not imperfect. He is perfect. He has the right to look down on people. He has a right to turn up his nose and frown on people. We don't. We feel like that. We're like, who do you think you is gonna look down on me? Like, even though, we still are charged to judge one another. We should judge one another, but we judge each other according to his standard and not our own. You know what I'm saying? So he's a guy who does what he wants to do. And what he's done is he made a nation of people to be wicked in the earth, and he uses that wicked nation to judge other wicked nations. It's a conundrum. Don't get me wrong, it's a conundrum. It's crazy, but that's how he want to do things. You know what I'm saying? He uses a nation but he's gonna bring down that same nation. You know what I'm saying? That nation, he himself will be destroyed. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna destroy that nation. It's how he does things, man. And so hopefully that don't sound crazy to y'all no more, and y'all see that. And when you see in the Bible, next time we come back, we'll go through places in the Bible where you see the devil. It's not always talking about a spiritual demon. In the Old Testament, Job, yeah, that's a spiritual demon. In 2 Samuel, that's a spiritual demon. You know what I'm saying? That when 1 Samuel and 2 Kings, when David was tempted, that was a spiritual demon. Ezra, that's a spiritual demon. But when you start dealing with Christ, when he said you are of your father, the devil, he's not talking about a spiritual demon. When Peter gave the advice and said, your adversary, the devil, is as a roaring lion seeking whom he may destroy, he's not talking about the spiritual demon. When Christ said, get thee behind me, Satan, he said that twice. One time he was talking about a spiritual demon. Second time he was talking to a person. He looked Peter in his face and told him, "Get behind me, Satan." So when you see the devil in the Bible, when it talks about the devil, most of those places that it's talking about the Roman Empire. It's talking about that nation. It's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan. That's what, like Second Thessalonians we just read. His energy would be of Satan, an adversary, because that's what Satan means. It just means an adversary. The spiritual demon Satan is just a spiritual adversary. That's all it means. His name is not Satan. That's not a name. Satan is not a name. And I don't suggest nobody have a baby and call their son Satan, right? But it's not a name. Satan means adversary. Devil means slanderer. So a devil is just a person who slanders. An adversary is just a person who takes a position of opposition against you. That's what a hashatan, that's what that is. So a person that's an op, that's a Satan. And the Satan is spoken in a negative connotation biblically because the only mission that matters in the Bible is God's will. So anyone who takes a position against God's will is Satan. So when you look at the spiritual demon Satan, there's not just one spiritual demon Satan. There's many spiritual demons Satan. And the Bible calls them, it says there are devils, plural. So I believe there is a chief of them, just like there's a chief of what we would call benevolent angels. I believe there's a chief, but in every place where you see that, it's not always talking about the same devil. These devils have different tasks. They move differently. Just like angels, they move different. You got Gabriel, you got Raphael, you got what's some other angels that's listed in the Bible? I can't even think right now. My brain is like mush. But there's different angels, that have different functions and different jobs, just like devils. It's different. They're different. There are many of them, many devils, many angels. On the earth, in the Bible, there's one particular nation that God calls Satan, the adversary. He's everybody's adversary. Why? Because he destroys nations and he deceives nations. He's everybody's adversary, and that was wrong. That's why he's depicted as that beast, that eagle that comes out of the waters with iron teeth and brass claws, and he stumped the residue thereof. And then he has these horns that speaks blasphemies and with eyes all over, meaning they watch everything, they see everything, right? So, but yeah, so we'll go over that and, we'll finish up Romans 9, which, like I said, we're going to sail through this at this point. But I appreciate y'all for y'all time. I know we went over a little bit over 2.5 hours. I try to keep it between 2 and 2.5 hours per y'all request. But I hope sometimes if we go over, it's not, that bad of a deal for y'all. So hopefully the trade-off is worth it. Hopefully you get some good wisdom, some good knowledge. And when you read the Bible on your own, you can read with a certain context in mind. You know what I'm saying? So love y'all. And I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all be safe. Y'all be great. Yep. Stay righteous, do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? Spike Lee. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, what's good? What's cracking? What's cracking, cuz?
The last two sessions, the studies, are y'all gonna post it on not Facebook, but y'all post it on the YouTube channel?
Yeah. Think TJ gonna get that done. He just been, that boy got a huge family, so he be and jobs, plural. That man is a man. You feel me? So he
I get him on today. Like probably
there
after
you go.
Sunset done hit, I don't go ahead and get him on today.
The man has spoken. So yeah, he got you. He gonna get that posted for you.
I bet.
All right, I'm gonna send this one to him too, so that way we can have this one up there. So, but like I said, man, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all time. Appreciate y'all patience. I know this is it's not always easy, but yeah. So we out of there.
Okay.
All right.
Love y'all.
Love y'all too, man. Y'all take it.